It does help. All right. I think we're up and running. I think we're off to the races. How good. You're so good. You're so good at social media. How good. All right. Well, folks, I think we are now officially live on every platform that I physically can be live on. Yeah, how great. Listen, thank you for joining us here in the studio, in the kitchen, as we like to say. And as Val pointed out earlier, as we were troubleshooting tech, I feel like a bit of now that I'm standing up on the standing desk, it feels like a cooking show. It's fully coming to life. Yeah, mate, we're chef. We're iron chefing. Oh, I should have done that. What a loser. You know what? Do you remember that show, Iron Chef? Do you remember that? Did you get that in the States? Yeah, and it had that iconic intro of the dude just biting into the capsicum. You don't remember it that well. What an absolute spear tackle. Thanks, dude. Yeah, yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I didn't watch it. No, it was a really good show, honestly. Very, very good. Really, really good. Oh, that's so fun. All right, man. Well, listen, folks, we are going to be chatting about. Well, I don't really want to put bounds on it because when the boys get together, we do just yarn a fair bit. But I would love, love, love to be picking this lovely gentleman's brain, I should say, about all things sculpting and putty and just Warhammer, because he is not only one of the nicest people I know, but he's just an absolute freak of nature on the old putty table. Do you know what I mean? He's just unstoppable. Yeah, yeah. We were trying to work out, how long we've known each other. It's like 5, 6 years. I started scrolling on Instagram, and it just got too hard, and I just gave up. So I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. Long time. I know. That's exactly the excuse. It's He's not lying. That is genuinely all that stopped me. Yeah, yeah. Do you get a jump? I don't know about you, but I get a jump scare. It's on my TV. I load it up, prepared to enjoy something, and then it's just my big fat ugly head, and it's like, oh, they're watching. That's funny. No, no, no. Do your thing. Do your thing. People surely love this anyway, right? But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. I'm surrounded by potential projects that I would love to kind of open up and have a little bit of a look at for sure. But um, definitely, I would love once you're done your Instagram post. I'm super keen to step back a little in time and start to talk your journey because I think that's always so interesting. Do you know what I mean? Before you start looking at what someone's doing now, it's kind of like where they've come from. So, yeah, dude, like apart from shaving, which I've already given you feedback on, what have you been doing? Give us the last 10 years. How did you get to this point? You know, if as much as you're comfortable sharing, right? Like, what is the hobby for you? I've on the spotted you there. I just threw you on the spot with that. Just that's a big question to just launch at you. 6 a.m. Mm, mm. Oh, we're getting some. We're getting some. Dude, don't at me with 2002. We're getting some feedback here that people can only hear me, which is not good. I'm so sorry, chat. I've just seen this. That's the worst case scenario here. Yeah, so do I. Chat, please hold. Thank you for the feedback. It has been seen, has been heard. Yeah, okay. I can hear you perfect. Yeah, and I'm just seeing on my side here that you're not appearing in the stream. My goodness gracious me, this is catastrophe. Now, I do want to throw out Turak. Can you see Val, but you just can't hear him because you're on Twitch, mate? I'm just going to do a quick Google while we're just yarning away. If no one can hear you, Val, that means I'm going to... Yeah, you finish your post. Yeah, you finish your blooming post. They can't even see you. There's no audio, there's no visual. I could just be making this entire thing up. Done. Restart, Command R. We'll see you soon. Yeah, let's do it. All right. I'm live on YouTube. Folks, we're just going to do a quick little deep dive to try and get this one back up and running. I do apologize. Does Val even exist? He's just a figment of my imagination, honestly. At this point, I've just crafted him, you know. All right, let's do this here. Invite guests. Young Valbjorn. Send the invite. Beautiful. I can see you there. Let's start sharing chat again. Let's see if that works. Love. So it's most definitely something that I am not doing in OBS. Did I craft him out of milliput and dreams? Someone said we haven't seen Nick and Val in the same room. Very suspicious. That is actually true. We are actually the same. No, we're not. We're kind of actually two ends of the, like, opposite ends of the same battery, aren't we? I've got the beard, no hair. You've got the glorious hair, no beard. Yeah. I reckon I know. I reckon I've got a suspicion of what I need to do. Okay. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, we were so confident, weren't we, with all our technical troubleshooting? We did so much of it, and the moment we went live, we just buckled under pressure. Now, Twitch is just saying that you don't exist. You're actually just plasticine and back hair. Yeah, now we're getting existential. Yeah, Yeah, maybe it's a good thing people can't hear you now. Actually, now you've said that, that's so funny. Someone, well, Dom just said, can you see the shared chat at least? Actually, that's a good test. Can you see the shared chat? Okay. So the YouTube hasn't come through on your end. On YouTube, someone said, Dom said, have you tried leaving Val to cure for 40 minutes? It's actually a really good piece of advice. Yeah. I, maybe. I don't know. Let's have a quick look here. Chat, whilst I'm doing this, whilst I'm troubleshooting and you're just throwing your time at me to just Google things really rapidly to get this up and running for you, what are we working on at the moment? What is on the hobby desk that I can pilfer? Talk to me about that. Because I'm going to do this at the same time. I'm getting potatoes thrown at me. Or the browser saw. Here we go. I don't think so. Yeah, good. People are saying it's because we let Ash not join the stream that everything's just betraying itself and falling apart. She's actually the glue that holds this entire production together. Get her over here. Get her over here, honey. What are you doing? Help us out, hon. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. That's got me stumped. It says here, make sure your guest is not muted. That's the advice that Google is giving me. It's pretty good advice, do you know what I mean? That's pretty good, very grounded advice from Google. Here we go, right click the browser source, go properties. Oh, here we maybe go, team. Please hold. Testing audio chat. Could I just... yeah. Yeah. Ash has sabotaged on the way out. She knows she's been replaced. She's just pulled the audio wire. That's how it works. Chat, can I get a little... Val's going to start talking. Do you mind telling... Skits, yeah. The cables are pretty tasty, if I'm honest, Skits. Like, Cat 5 is a delicious cable, do you know? If you haven't had it, trust me, it's a really... Don't plug it in and do it, but that's not actual advice. You can do this. I almost wonder... I'm just going to press a button and just see if that did anything. So I'm just going to let you talk, and then the crew will come forth and let us know. And you've got such a good voice. This is devastating for the people. Testing, crew. We are bereft. Skit says that there is no... Turak says there is no audio coming through for you. Well, well, well. Very patient crew too. Listen, I got to thank the chat for being so patient. 5 minutes of troubleshooting, and people are still just sticking around. They're keen to see you, mate. Honestly, it can't be me because they can get this anytime they want, and they know it. Well, yeah, skits, OBS, mate. Oh man, we've even got Could you talk again for me? Oh, dude, I could hear you. My browser when in the audio mixer here. How do you chat? This is where you can. This is where you can save the day chat. How do you make multiple audio streams go active in OBS? Obi-Wan, you're my last hope. Because when you talk, Val, it goes off on the browser. Oh, you do too. Not again. You should have seen it before when we were testing it. You logged off and it just turned into the Matrix. Legitimately, just green and black everywhere. It was so funny. Yeah, I was just testing something before. Let's go audio. Here we go. Track 1. Twitch enhanced broadcasting is controlling things. All right, well, we are getting some suggestions come through. Can we get a test from you, big dog? Testing. Testing, team. Did we get a... Now there's no audio from me. Yeah, that's correct. I'd turn that off, that I know. It is. It is. Yes. Yes, I turned my own audio. I turned my own audio off, everyone. I turned my audio off and then everyone freaked out. It's all good, team. I manually did that. I know I'm appearing like an absolute Neanderthal, which I am. But that was a manual decision. But confirming we don't have Val still, right? Yeah, dude, it'll just happen. It'll click in. I've got this here. No, Val, that's okay. I reckon we're actually really close with this browser thing here. I reckon just as soon as I make this active... Testing. Testing. Nope, nope. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be the worst start to ever stream any stream ever we do, and then we'll just constantly look back and go, "Oh, you idiots!" Yeah, exactly. Once it all kicks off, people will just be saying, "Oh my goodness, talk about worth the wait." Are you kidding? These dudes. I've seen worse. Yeah. Still, still better than Games Workshop. what what a high bar. Thanks, Abe. I really appreciate it, man. You know what? I was just ragging on them for being not doing good streams, like to my friend the other day. And you know what? That's humble pie. I shouldn't have said anything. That's my fault. No, that is shocking. That is shocking. It's. I do think that YouTube is. It's not causing the problem, but it's not wanting to piggyback onto the Twitch stream, unfortunately. So that is a sadness. That's something I'll have to technically troubleshoot further in a different day. I won't be able to do that now. But if I can just get the audio up and running, that will be a win for all people, all free people of the earth. Yeah, it's weird. Someone's saying, could you do voice chat through Discord instead? Yeah. Yeah, mate. I will happily see. Yeah, I'm 90% sure it's a me problem in terms of my Thank you, Nashi. I am running a multi-stream software, but it's just the stream together. Yeah, maybe let's. I'm gonna try shut down the YouTube stream. I don't think that's what is causing the problem, though. To be honest with you, I'm pretty. G'day, Paddock. Welcome back, mate. You're actually just joining the troubleshooting stream, the Gap Games troubleshooting stream, where we just go live and just troubleshoot random technical things on a Sunday night. Do you know what I mean? There's not really much else going on in Australia on a Sunday night, so we figured we'd just do this. Someone on YouTube, Val, you'll love this. So, can you have him just text chat you with and read his comments in a Swedish accent? I feel like people are going to be disappointed now. Chat, I don't know how to break this to y'all, but Val is not Swedish. But can you do a good Swedish accent? I actually can't do a good Swedish accent. I can't. Damn it. No. It's too young in my career to get cancelled. I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? I think that accents should be sacrosanct in a comedic way. Do you know? It's a touchy subject, isn't it? People are just so rude. If everyone was nice. Oh, there we go. That's clever. Yeah, Muppets is a good chat. It's never too soon to be cancelled. Can you be cancelled if you haven't been like? What's the opposite of being cancelled? Like enabled? What is the opposite of being cancelled? Viral? Yeah. These are things that actually do need to be. Yeah, thanks, dude. Do you want to just have a little look at the Twitch moment? No, not Twitch moment. My goodness, Discord, and we can see if that maybe is a yeah. How do we then get that into the audio in though? I don't understand that. Yeah. Yes. You've actually got Russell Crowe. I don't doubt you do. You would have Russell Crowe. Of anyone I know, you would just have that enigmatic man. All right, dude, let me log on. So what's the give me the understanding here. How does this work with how do you get Discord audio into testing testing? Testing. Hang on. That's probably now. That might be better. Yes. Hello, hello. I don't know if Discord's. Yeah, how do you link Discord? That's. Yeah. Rust. Enable the Discord program as a separate input. Do you know what I love about the chat right now? Like, I've got two inputs going and I can't even manage two. And they're saying, put a third one in. This is incredible. They're about as helpful as Google. Just kidding. Just kidding, chat. Just kidding. Huge love for the chat. What's your username, password, and banking details? Well, Dom, you'll be happy to know that I forgot my details before this call. I had to reset it, so I'm pretty useless at this. That's so funny. Yeah, well, I can't understand how YouTube is causing the problem because it's not really working very well. So I don't think it's a YouTube thing. I can literally see the browser lighting up. Here we go. Are we really? What are they doing? Why are you here watching this, viewers? This is crazy. We thank you so much. Oh, really? So they can't see me on your channel either. Skits. I need to ask you here. Twitch does work, I think, without YouTube. I think it's like the dude who fell asleep on Twitch and just snored. I don't even think we're more entertaining than that because that's actually far out funny. You know. Oh, they can't see me or hear me on Twitch. Wow, this is incredible that we've actually somehow gone from so confident our technical troubles was zero. We spoke for like 3 hours today. I ruined it. Yeah, we prepped hard out, incredibly. Ah, so Dom's saying on yours, Val. Yeah, I don't exist. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, might be. I don't think I can because I will. Mine will die. I think this whole thing will fall apart if I do that. Cause yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Get into it, Arnie. Yeah, You know what's going to be? This is the funny thing about this. I know as soon as it's going to be one button that I'm going to press, and the entire thing is just going to work. I just know it. I can feel there is something incredibly. Oh no! Here we go. How do I? Or crash. Yeah, we could crash it. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's a very good point. So the question is, chat. This is the real question because this is actually the $1,000,000 question that will save this entire stream, and then we can go atmospheric here. How do you in OBS advanced audio properties? How do you make a audio source from inactive to active? That's what we need to. If we troubleshoot that, we've saved the day. The entire thing is saved. Dan, I don't know if it is like watching a competitive Excel spreadsheet tournament. I think it's more like watching someone fall down the stairs with a keyboard and a microphone attached to different limbs. Yeah, honestly, where is Mitch when you need him? What is Mitch doing? That is actually a very good point. Thank you, Pigment Predicament. We will be able to just paint over this whole thing, do you know? And it will. As soon as we get going, we won't even remember this was a problem. And I'll just clip the audio. I'll clip the video on YouTube for the VOD, and it will never have been happened. It will be scrubbed from the internet and redacted from history. And all that anyone will ever be able to remember was the good chat that Val and I had. Oh, team. Oh, goodness gracious. Have I just fixed it? If I go here. Oh, my goodness. Chat. Oh, chat. I think I might have found it. Please sit down. Hold on. All right. Can you? No, you wouldn't be able to hear it. Well, Val's not there anymore anyway, so yeah, you definitely can't hear him. Man, it's actually impressive how. See, I know you guys probably don't believe me, but truly, we did that much preparation for this. It's not even funny. I've never prepared for something in my life so much. And yeah, it was all working perfectly. So that's what just happens in the big scheme of things, isn't it, really? Oh, Val's back, baby. Val, if you're talking, I can't hear you, son. I can hear you now. Chat, can you hear him? No. The good news, Val, is that I can see you, I can hear you. The bad news is nothing's changed. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that even on yours, I'm not viewable either. That feels like something's wrong there. Yeah, yeah. Do you, yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna jump out of this, huh? Yeah, really? Chat, you can't hear him, but he just said, I'm willing to try anything at this point. It's recorded. It's recorded. All right, I'm ending the collaboration. I've dumped him. Chat, I've gotten rid of him. I haven't actually, but we're going to try and flip it up, flip the script a little bit, and have a little look-see. See if he can invite me. And who knows? Valbjorn wants to collaborate. There we go. Okay. And can you see me? You know what I'm going to do, brother? You can see chat. Well, that's good. That's good. I can't just... People are saying... Can you see Skit saying that she's watching along and there's like nothing happening and she just keeps getting just caught in a vortex of ads. That's all she's getting because yeah, I'm so sorry, Skits. In your sources area, is your browser set source? Turn your screen to face the camera. That is great. Oh no. Oh, Paddock Philosopher, that is a rubbish day from our YouTube chat. I'll trade you this for fixing my tractor and water transfer pumps any day. Oh, that is tough, mate. That is genuinely props to farmers. I've said it to you already, mate, but you're amazing. I don't know how you do it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I might have fixed one of the like 7 problems that we have. When I say 7, sorry, it's not 7 problems. YouTube. No. It's done the Matrix. I thought I had it. I thought I had it. I thought I had it. I was so confident. I thought I had it. I'm watching YouTube like delayed and it will show me in a second. Just at least I'll be able to know that it's real, do you know? At least I'll know it's real. Yeah, that was, yeah, and that was on Twitch as well. Oh, you know what? That Dom has just raised a... That would have been so funny if we were that smart, Dom. If we had just stuffed around for 30 minutes just to let the green stuff just set up. And they go, oh, just kidding, it's actually perfect. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. People, when I did enable whatever I just did, people did, on YouTube, they saw you. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a 15, there's a snippet of 15 vowels. Oh, look, the browser thing's gone active as well. Oh, here we go. Okay, now this is pod racing.
Oh,
Okay.
but can they hear me though? Can they hear me?
Can that chat? Can you hear Val? Now we've got.
Can you hear me? And they can hear me. No, they can't hear me. But yes, they can hear me.
So
one
just
person can hear me.
Okay, so we can there's 3 of you in. So this is all we can have. We can have and got Nick now 2 in singular. Good. Okay, so this is a step in the right direction. This is pretty good. This is progress, guys. We should take a break and we'll see you after the advert. Okay, so we can hear me. You can't see me, but that's okay. And you can see 4 vowels. Is that correct? Dude, my it looks so funny right now. 3 and a sliver vowels.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to be honest, dude, this is what the people are here to see. So at the end of the day, like, it's just going to be multiverse Val. I'm Doctor Strange, and I've just got a bunch of you, just little variants running around. Okay, that's fine. Well, now they can hear us at least. So technically, Val, what we were actually going to be doing today is just doing a podcast. And it's just great that we both have such posh accents.
And I'm not actually Swedish.
No, yeah. Sorry to disappoint, guys. I love that
Last night,
that's the disappointing part of this whole thing is that you're not Swedish, not the fact that it took 40 minutes to actually hear your
right.
voice.
Time stop BB on Val's side of stream, only see and hear Val. Yeah, we knew that, but I want yeah. I think we're in over our head, Nick.
Yeah, man, this is crazy, dude. I'm bemused at what has happened. I understand this part at least, what I did here. I could bring myself into this if I did. This. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Actually, while we're doing this, since they can hear you, Val, let's actually say this. What are you actually working on at the moment? What is in your on your very expansive hobby desk? What is it that you're doing?
My current project right now is working on finishing up a mold that I've been working on for making your own pelts on the desk, or making your own. Yeah, it's an announcement I'll be doing later this year, but I don't. It's bittersweet because I don't want to completely reveal it, but yeah, it's a way of using a press mold to create your own pelts and put them on the mini, which is
Awesome.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
And also exploring and finishing up RJack as well.
I don't want to get any. Sorry, Val, to interrupt you. I don't want to get anyone too excited here, but I do think that I have ad hoc'd a solution in the most unbelievably
Oh,
ghetto way possible. Is it working? The chat seems to now say they can see two hairy men. This is
okay.
crazy. Can you, Val? Is it good on your end?
I mean, I can see. Yeah, I mean, I can see two of us. I'm on the left, you're on the right on your stream, but unfortunately on mine, I think it's just me.
You know what? Can you? So what I did to do this is I just added the yeah, okay, so those two we've got a confirmation of working. Honestly, it's so embarrassing how I'm doing this. This is definitely not how it's meant to be, but I've just added the browser as a source and then just cropped it to be half the screen. So I've chosen my front camera, put it on the right, and then cropped a browser as a source in one of the scenes. So it's not
Okay.
perfect. So
I'm happy. I'm happy if it works on your stream.
yeah. True,
I'm
true,
not.
true, true, true. That's all right. Well, chat, we've got the legend here, and thank you for sticking with us. Do you know what? Line in the sand. The chat, the stream starts now. We are live. We're good to go. Welcome back to the kitchen, and thank you for joining me. As always, my name's Nick, and I'm going to be your chef. And I am joined from the United States of America by Valbjorn, a friend of mine from 5, 6, 7 years ago. We don't know, and the reason we don't know is because you can't scroll back that far on Instagram.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my
What
pleasure, man.
what time is it?
It's now it's now 7:15.
In the morning.
We
Same day,
yeah,
same day.
in the morning. Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
We've been troubleshooting this for the better part of 3/4 of an hour. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is, we still have the same people from the start. In fact, we have more people now
I
than at the
love it.
start. So the original people who joined the chat, you are the angels here.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking around, guys.
Even though there's a little bit of disappointment that you're not Swedish, we can quickly move past that.
I
Yeah.
get that a lot. I also get that when I meet people in person, they're like, "Oh, we thought you'd be taller."
Who says that?
Well, I think tall Viking, I guess.
Oh, true. Right, right,
But
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's actually pretty true. The Scandies are very tall people. I
I'm
was
just a
there for a
I'm just a dude from the Midwest.
dude. Just living, just living. That's awesome. I love the Midwest of America. I have so many good memories from there. I was very fortunate to do a bit of work there, and they were just the most lovely people.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's jump into it, brother, because I am keen to get in now that we've actually got some work cut out for us here. I am super keen to chat putty and sculpting and things like that. But I guess maybe before we go into it, let's chat about like before Warhammer, before sculpting, what was your art kind of tie-in? Did you have one, or was this the first artistic kind of venture that you picked up?
Man, no. I've always been I've always loved creating and just building things and, hammering out forts in the woods and stuff. I have amazing parents that were very supportive of my creative ventures. So both of my parents are ceramic artists. They run their own business making pottery and making sculpture and stuff, and so I've been able to work out in their studio and grow up around that. So that's
Mm,
always been something that's been a huge influence on me growing up. So yeah, but before, as far as a profession goes, I was working in art fabrication for a while before
mm,
I started doing Valbjorn's always kind of been around in the background for me, but yeah, we did we did sculpture restoration and fabrication and stuff like that. So I learned a lot in that process. But yeah,
You were doing like metal fabrication, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
welding and grinding, polishing, painting, powder
Mm,
coating, all that
mm.
kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, I remember when you were doing that, and I remember when you first left that. And now, in like the last year and a half, I think what has been so cool, like watching your journey, has been bringing that into the hobby. Because that's not really something that's in the hobby that people are sitting there hammering brass. But that's you do that. You literally at like the tiniest scale, like that's a really cool, unique thing, right?
yeah. That's a big part of my process of when I'm building something is c- putting a challenge in front of me before I go to the next thing. So I work very intuitively. So while
Mm,
I'm building something together, I start with the pose and try to get that as solid as I can before I move
mm-hmm,
on to details. And a lot of
mm-hmm,
times I'll remove details off the model, and in that process I start to build out an idea of what I want to see.
yeah,
And there are so many different ways of tackling what you want to do and how you want the mini to look
mm,
that I like to explore new areas and new materials as I'm moving forward through that decision making,
mm,
and introducing and looking at people that are building scale models, like
mm,
military scale models and things,
mm,
working in photo etch parts and brass parts into their minis. I didn't see a lot of that going on in Warhammer.
mm,
It was mostly plastic and putty, and so I think I started with just replacing the barrels with brass
mm-hmm.
and just seeing and doing the weapons like weapon blades and handles and stuff
Sure,
like that
sure. Handles are
out of
common. Yeah,
metal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was something that I was like, okay, I had experience with metal from working in fabrication, and it's just the rigidity of it is
Yeah,
amazing. And
yeah.
then once you start hammering it out and seeing the quality of it as it sort of spreads out,
Mm,
every time you hit it with the hammer, it starts to kind of displace and spread out, and it becomes a different kind of feel and material. When you put it over on the mini,
mm. Yeah,
and it
it's
just
just nuts. When I see you do the, sorry, when I see you do like what is it called? The rim of the armor. What is that called again? I can't
The
think of it off the top of my
like
head.
armor
The
trim.
trim. Thank you. When
Yeah.
are doing that at a miniature scale with metal, not even just putty, we're transcending the two-part epoxy here. When I see that, my mind just goes, "Oh, I do not understand how this guy eats and
Should
breathes
we
the
should
same
we
things."
should we throw that up?
Yeah, throw it up. You are still super blurry, which is so frustrating, but
Oh no. Well,
that's
am
okay.
I blurry to everyone else?
That's a good question. Chat, is Val blurry? And whilst they're answering that, can I dial back on something? Because you mentioned something that's really interesting to me. Next week, shameless plug, we have a really cool video. Well, I think it's cool coming out on like the design process when you're looking for conversions and you're wanting to convert models and things like that. Um, we've got a video on it. You mentioned like you will go back and forth in terms of the steps of your design and you'll let details come forth. Do you have a stage of your design where you like if details start to emerge as you're posing a miniature, right? Do you have a stage where you kind of wait to add the details later, or if it comes to you, do you just get it straight on?
Yeah, man, that is something I do intuitively. I don't
Mm,
plan the build completely.
mm-hmm,
So I kind of let things inform the next thing.
mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Hang on.
So this is interesting. While you're doing that, it looks like people are saying that Val's own your Twitch stream is fine, but on my end, it's super blurry.
Yeah, dude. It's
What a
just
train wreck, man. This is so. At least we're live. Do you know what I mean? At least we're like.
yeah, at
At least
least
we're
we're
up and
live.
running. At least we're live, people. 8-bit Warhammer. Oh, dude, you've just snapped into full HD on my screen.
Did
Chat,
I?
tell me. Chat, hit me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is this real? That's it. You're locked in, brother.
All right. Finally.
Yeah, show me that sexy zoom camera you were show the chat that sexy zoom camera that you were showing me before. Dude, look at that zoom. I think it's gone blurry again.
Yeah. Oh man. You know what we could do if
Yeah.
if the stand by, you can see me here again. If my feed to your camera or
Uh-huh.
to your thing is blurry, you may just throw up images because if yours clear, switch your camera over to a slideshow of what you want to talk about because I don't think you can rely on my video feed being clear
That's
because
true. Well,
I'm
that's
super
true.
blurry.
Yeah. You are very blurry. It's funny that it kind of comes good though, but that's okay. I reckon whilst I plot away at that in the background, because let's be honest here, I don't want to start messing with cameras and scenes just yet. I'm just enjoying even a blurred outline of your face, and your voice is better than just people looking at my ugly head. So in terms of like designing a model, right? So like when you look at like the primary thing that kind of put your name on the map, I think, is obviously the Space Wolves, right? So that was the Marines, incredibly popular, very ubiquitous models. What is it about that very clean canvas that inspires you to take it down a certain direction?
I mean that's I love removing details and when I'm that was the first thing when I started clipping models off the sprue
Uh-huh.
and cleaning the mold lines and filling in gaps with putty and even some of the details that are recessed in the model, just filling those in. And it became almost like body work on a car when you're fixing a dent.
Yeah.
There's something really satisfying to me about removing material and sanding. And I've
Yeah.
done a lot of sanding in the fabrication days, and it was sanding and polishing. And it was something that when I brought that over into in my process of building, to me that clean canvas is it just lets you lets you design it from the ground up of what you want to
Mm,
see.
yeah.
And with Warhammer models and not just Space Wolves, but just Warhammer in particular, a lot of the details and the weapons in particular, some of the details on the armor and stuff, a lot of them are, well, they're stylized, right? They're sometimes bigger than what you would see that would be more of like a true scale, or something that would be more in scale for what they're doing.
Yep.
But it looks great on the tabletop. It looks good from arm's length. But I was interested, or I am interested in finding that macro hero shot, of really getting somebody down to the same level, bringing them into the scale of the mini. And so redoing the details at a smaller scale was a big part of the process for me. And so removing a lot of the details is super important for me, to then put them back on in the way that I want to see them.
So this kind of is tickling me because I think one of the biggest things that unlocked my passion and output for sculpting, and I'm still learning. Like this, like you never stop learning, but I'm still very basic, I think, in many ways. But the even going from nets, I think everyone can relate to this. When you're first sculpting, it is so hard. Like you somehow wind up with putty, like on your roof, like it's in your nose, like it's this under your nails. It's the stickiest thing known to man. Like, and you go, how do people do this? And then what really blew my mind is the concept that you sculpt like you paint, right? Like you sculpt in layers, you paint in layers, you should sculpt in layers. Like you sculpted a basic detail onto a model, and then you stop and let it cure, and then you sculpt the next layer just like you would if you're painting. And just that one thing just changed my life with sculpting. And as you're talking, what it's also kind of resonating with me is that, like, when I look at your models, sometimes I'm like, how is it so smooth? But how much of what you do is reductive, can I ask? Like, like as in just taking off, like you sculpt up and then reduce down.
Yeah, that's something that I do very often. So like armor trim, for instance, I'll put on armor trim, and then I cannot wait for it to completely cure to come back the next day just to scrape on it.
Yeah.
and to harden it up, because there is an amount, there's like a softness to putty, especially the way that I'm applying it to the model is usually, well, it's in the window where the putty is still soft. I need the putty to be very, very fresh in the mix when I'm applying it to the model, so that way it can adhere. Because I don't use glues to stick armor trim for that particular thing. So I'll let that set up overnight, and then I'll come back and then I'll scrape it down and I'll harden up the edges and sharpen them. So there's a lot of layering and reductive techniques with even just a hobby blade or a sanding sponge or sometimes a file. Let me well, if I'm blurry, it won't really. Do you have the all the images that I sent you? Could you throw some of those up on?
Let me pull. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let me. Oh, that's Firefox. Please hold. Whilst I'm doing this, may I please ask a question, because I think it's incredibly interesting, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I think it's so. Again, it's the kind of thing that when you conceptualize it, you visualize it, you go, oh, and you turn like something that frustrates you into something that actually works for you. The life cycle of putty as it pertains to what do you do with it at certain parts, right? Like, when it's first mixed, it's incredibly tacky. And I'm being very generic here. There's like 50,000 putties. But do you mind just talking through that, dude? Like how you used putty at different stages for different things? Is that cool whilst I pull this?
Yes. So
yes.
This is what makes epoxy putty unique as a material, is it has a spectrum that
Don't we all?
that it cures on. So it starts out soft, and becomes hard and eventually sets up to where you can scrape on it. And green
Yeah.
stuff is an exception to that. It's still pretty rubbery when it's all the way cured. um, but that the material is changing its hardness and density as it cures, and learning how to leverage that spectrum and the different windows in that curing spectrum is very important.
Mm.
Understanding that within the first 30 to 40 minutes of mixing is when you're going to get adhesion
Hmm.
between like once it goes past around 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how warm it is in the room, it's not really going to want to stick to anything else unless there's a real mechanical connection where you have undercuts that can click together.
Hmm.
um, but you can get into extremely small details um, that will stick if
Hmm.
you figure out how to get it over to the model within that early window.
Hmm.
And so for me, and a big part of my process is learning how to use a brush with capillary action with water to
Hmm.
transfer material, to transfer details from one thing to the next, like little teeth or straps or something like that. And
Hmm.
then working with different types of putty. I mean, this is we're getting down the rabbit hole at this point where we can start talking about the different properties of different putties.
Yep, dude.
um,
I'm keen to go down that rabbit hole. Trust me. I'll get my Morpheus glasses. I'll put them on. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
yeah. Beautiful.
Let's do it, Neo.
Yeah.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Oh
You
my
got to have
god.
these things on hand, dude. You got to have these things. Best $12
Yeah.
I've ever spent on Amazon.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to interrupt you very quickly because you are touching on a question that was asked in chat almost twice, actually, and it's regarding and this will also kind of dovetail into what you were just about to talk about with the properties of different putties and when and where to leverage different things. But how do you connect fine details? Now, I know for things like Milliput, you've talked about using a slurry with a brush applicator, and that's an actual hairbrush, folks, as well, which is quite unique. So, do you mind talking about the attachment of very fine
Sure.
details?
Yeah. So that slurry that so Milliput and Magic Sculpt, those are putties that are water soluble. They break
Yes.
down underwater. So if you apply water to it with a brush, it will it'll break down. You are using water is the solvent to those putties. And yes, alcohol will also work. It will have even less surface tension, so it can flow into crevices and stuff. But understanding that those putties will erode away with water, especially with the friction of a brush going over the surface, is important to start to leverage that.
Mm,
Green stuff and Tamiya QuickType are
mm,
not water soluble. Those putties are waterproof. So
yes.
it's just once you start to mix those together, you can get the elasticity of green stuff and Tamiya QuickType, and you can get the water solubility of Magic Sculpt or Milliput, and start to blend those two worlds together.
Mm,
So having that, having those putties mixed up, Milliput, for instance, if you have a fresh thing of Milliput mixed up and get that over onto the model early, and the surface of the plastic is prepped and it's free of debris and any kind of like oils or anything like that, and it has a very lightly sanded surface. Once that putty starts to set up, it'll lock into almost like Velcro, because it'll get down on that surface, and then it starts to cure, it'll lock in place. The slurry is really nice for filling in little areas or creating a small radius. Don't think of it so much as glue,
mm,
but as a way of adding another really small layer to the surface. So
mm,
if you lay down armor trim on top of plastic and let that set up and then scrape it into a square shape, you could then hit the edges with a slurry, and it'll create a tiny little radius between where they both meet. And yes, that will most likely help it adhere a little bit better, but it's not really so much of as a glue, but really just a visual small radius for
Mm.
something like that.
Yeah,
Does
it's
that make
crazy.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does, man. Yeah, my mind's just like trying to process it all. I think like, and this is again, I'm gonna make the, and you can help me with this too, right? Because I think analogies are so powerful when you're trying to learn or at least absorb or understand new content because it helps you connect to what you know, right? And painting is something that I'm assuming we all do on this stream. So in terms of that, using the slurry as a connector between them, as another layer, it's almost as if when you see someone
Yep.
painting like non-metallic metal and you look at the paints they use and you go, whoa, how are they going from that dark brown to that super bright gold? It's I guess it's another just form of layering, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's another physical layer that's sitting on top. So yeah, it's for sure a layer. Yeah.
Mm. I have been playing with settings at the back end of this stream, and I've
Yeah.
accidentally doubled the audio of you. So you now sound in an echo, which is so funny, and I'm not going to make it go live. So if chat, can you tell me, have I ruined anything? No. They're just complimenting your amazing workshop. So that's really, really good.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. Thank you guys.
yeah, it is beautiful, that workshop. It's crazy. So we're talking. Let's double click on because I think this is such an interesting topic.
Oh, good. It still
Let's
sounds fine.
yeah, good, good, good. With the different types of putties, you very briefly touched on water soluble, non water soluble.
Yep.
Um, when are you leaning towards one, and when are you leaning towards the other? Now we've talked about reductive, if I can use that term, reductive sculpting. The water soluble ones, due to their nature, are more are easier to do reductive sculpting with. Yeah or no?
Yes, those putties in particular will cure to a hardness that you can sand. So they both Magic Sculpt and Milliput will cure hard enough that you can scrape and sand them. Tamiya QuickType also does the same thing. It's a little bit it's more rubbery when you're mixing with it. Green
Yep.
stuff is you it doesn't really do reductive very well. You
Yeah.
unless unless you're carving it, you can carve back into green stuff pretty well if you have a sharp blade.
Yes.
Um, but let's if you think about what you get out of a putty that's water soluble, you gain erosion, and that's
Mm,
something that is once you learn how to leverage that and really soften textures by eroding them away with a damp brush, you can get some really nice looking hair and fur and things like that. And so I find using water soluble putties for making hair and fur very appealing
mm,
for my kind of style lately. I started
mm.
out making hair and fur with just pure green stuff, which is very
Yeah.
rubbery, and you can still I mean, you can make an awesome looking beard out of just pure green stuff.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Oh, here we go. I find green stuff too rubbery to carve or sand decently unless you really mess with the ratio of yellow to blue. So, yeah, the more yellow you put in your mix, the softer it will be. If you get more blue in the mix, it's going to sit up harder. It'll probably carve easier. Um, but yeah, mix some Milliput in or Magic Sculpt into your green stuff, and you'll be able to even as little as 30 to 40% Milliput or Magic Sculpt into your green stuff, and you'll be able to then sand it
Mm,
after it's totally cured.
mm. Yeah, it's funny. I remember the one of our first chats we ever did was when you were using. I was such a novice. I was using one of the old classic like Citadel sculpting tools, right? And you were like to sculpt beards and things, and you were like, dude, what are you doing? You got a door, you got a gym. Get a toothpick, brother. Clean your teeth. Flip it to the other end. Bam. And that is, I still to this day think of you.
Yeah,
Every time
man.
I sculpt hair, I grab that little toothpick. It's a different toothpick now. But and I think of you. Do you still use the toothpick to
Yeah,
sculpt
I
hair and
do.
fur?
I do. I use a number of different sizes. I make them out of bamboo. I started just using cocktail sticks,
Yeah.
um, which work great. They work great, and I recommend getting some sanding sponges
Yes.
and refining the ends a little bit, because what I was running into with toothpicks, what you got
I
there,
just
sanding
bought
sponges,
some.
perfect.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just bought some
yeah.
literally 2 days ago.
So toothpicks and cocktail sticks, they're made out of a very soft wood, so they don't harm your teeth. But what that means is when you use them often, they'll start to break down and they'll kind of fray out. And working on a little larger scale, that's fine. But if you're
Mm,
trying to get really small scale, like really, blending in hairline and creating really fine textures, you're going to need a thinner tool. And so
yeah.
sanding those down doesn't work so well because the wood is so soft. But bamboo has a really unique quality in that it's pretty flexible,
Hmm.
but also will
Strong.
hold. It's very strong,
Yeah.
and so you can really hold up a pick that's been sanded down to a really fine point, and I have 3 or 4 of them that I kinda keep on hand that are different sizes for when I'm doing
Mm,
hair, and I start out with a bigger one, so it's almost like a ball shape,
mm,
to do bigger blends and stuff, and then I'll rake over the surface with, smaller ones in order to get a
mm.
finer texture. And then looping back to water solubility and some of that
Yeah.
slurry that I was talking about, is you can
Yeah.
soften those textures by introducing slip or that slurry over the
Hmm.
top of textures, and you can begin to layer that. So,
Mm.
um,
Can I ask a question here? Because this is so
yeah,
just to make sure I'm understanding. So you're almost like you're sculpting more detail than you need. For example, let's just say fur, right? You've got a fur coat or something that you're
yeah,
going to sculpt. You would sculpt more detail than you need, and then you would go in with the slurry to smooth the level of detail to actually reduce the volume of detail. Is that to make sure I'm understanding correct?
yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layering that happens before the a slurry would go on, and I'll
Mm.
really only introduce that into what I'm looking to do is alleviate really deep relief. So
Okay.
like if what I hold the mini in and out of light sources and see where the shadows are, and if I have any areas that have really deep recesses, I will fill some of those in if I don't want it so aggressive. I find
Yeah.
when I have too much visual noise on a surface of a texture, maybe
Hmm.
it's demanding too much attention, and you can use that to alleviate that even after the
Mm.
putties totally cure.
Can I ask you a
And then
question on this real
you can
quickly?
add another layer on top if you'd like.
I got a question
Yeah,
for you because this is and then there's so many questions coming through in chat, so I will answer these. But then because there's this really interesting. Um, I was going to say Old Testament, New Testament, but I don't know if I can say that, so I won't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Okay, so I didn't. I could have, but I didn't. Okay, so I don't know how else to describe it though. There's like Old Testament, Val. But when you first started sculpting and we were chatting, you that was not your mantra. You had so much detail. The fur was so textured. It was so deep. What was it that was there a catalyst? Was there some external like inspiration that kind of made you go, "Hey, I want to pivot my style to this"? Because the way you sculpt fur now, like maybe the techniques and stuff are the same, but it's quite a different look, and it's so cool to have both in the repertoire. Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah, and I think when I started to really fall in love with photographing the mini and
Mm,
finding those really nice hero shots and getting those macro shots to show off the details and the fidelity and things like that, I started to get further into, okay, what does the sheen of the material look like? Is it
mm.
reflecting light? And green stuff is shiny. It it cures, and it because it's non-porous, it's shiny. And I wasn't happy with
Mm,
the textures and the volumes looking like they were rubbery, which green stuff looks pretty rubbery
yeah.
because of just the way that it cures. It's it doesn't have any open pores. It's just
Yeah.
slick.
Yeah.
So when I discovered mixing in Milliput into the mix, or even Magic Sculpt, I liked the softness that that gave, because, you know,
Yeah.
have you ever been painting a mini and and you hit it with that matte varnish, and it just gets soft on it, the
Mm.
way that it's reflecting the light.
Yeah.
And I wanted, you know, my hair and fur to not just look the way I want, volumetrically, but also with the sheen of it as well. And so
Mm. Mm.
that was a big, you know, that's why I wanted to go down that path.
To pivot. You know what? It's funny you say that, because I actually can't stand satin, or I can't stand gloss. I just don't. Satin I can sometimes deal with paints, but I'm just such a matte paint slut, and so many of the modern paints are quite matte, which I personally love. That I'm
Hmm.
not saying they're better or worse, but I just prefer it so much. We're gonna. Do you mind? Can we pivot to a few questions in the chat, because they're flooding through?
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, Now, I thought I might have not heard the answer here, but you were Skits before was talking about how green stuff can be too rubbery to carve. Did you talk about the? And I know it sounds like super basic, but uh, I know that I've got like a pack of scalpels that are like unopened, but they're unused unless I'm sculpting and carving green stuff or something like that, where it's like, or actually, I use them for scoring pork crackling as well, folks. So just you know, that's the best way to score pork crackling is with a fresh scalpel blade. So, but don't reuse it. Don't put pork in your putty, figuratively or literally. So, yeah, is there any other tips that you have for carving green stuff or brown stuff, like more the non-porous putties?
I don't carve a lot of green stuff, but I would suggest using a fresh blade. The
Mm,
sharper the blade is going to be the better cut. Um, my A lot of my videos, I talk a lot about the blade that I'm using, and a lot of times I use hobby blades for a long time, and I almost prefer them when they're broken
mm,
in. I
yeah,
don't love it when the blade is
super
super
sharp.
sharp,
Yes.
because a lot of times it will chatter over the surface because it's cutting a little bit too deep.
Yep.
Now, you can use that to your advantage if you're trying to make a chatter over the front of like an axe blade or something like that. You can force that to get it to jump and score.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I have some fresh blades, but for the most part, I use mostly broken in blades. And a lot of
Yeah.
times when I get a fresh blade out, I'll sand the edge of it with a
Yeah.
sanding sponge.
Oh, mate, you know what? There's a few things that I had for this chat prepped. I didn't tell you these ones. We spoke about a few things before, but these are like things I've hidden in my heart that I was going to confess to you at the end. And one of them was the fact that I have two blades, and this one, like, if the CSIRO, which is like the leading like scientific body in Australia, if they got their hands on this could cure tetanus globally. It is revolting. This thing. It is so bad for you. Surely, this is my favorite blade. I've had it for like 4 years. I'd cry if it went away. And then I have one sharper one for Warhammer for like trim and things like that. But this
Hmm.
blade is just that perfect. It's got nothing sharp about it, but it's just so perfect. And when I get
Yes,
when
it's the sweet
oh,
spot.
yeah, exactly. I don't sand it. That's a lot more sophisticated. I just run it up and down timber until it blunts to a point where I get happy. But yeah, I think there's a merit to having multiple blades at different.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I think so.
Someone asked a question if I used color shapers much. I personally enjoy them after the initial blockouts and raking. The old GW dental tool is goaded. Um, yes, clay shapers or color shapers. Yes, I use both of
Mm,
them. I have kind of a cone shaped one that I use, and then
hmm.
I also have a chisel shaped one that I use pretty often. I think those are really great for initial blockouts, and also I use them quite a bit when making fur as well, especially the
Mm,
softer pointed clay shaper.
yeah.
In my When I'm doing, I have a fur cape tutorial. It's called quilted capes.
Hmm.
Um, I'll block out chunks and areas of fur, and then I'll put in some textures, and then I'll rake over the surface with the
Mm,
color shaper, and the
mm.
very tip of it will sort of find its way through and create some really nice natural marks and stuff. But so yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely work those in the mix for sure.
Yeah, I love color shapers. I'll be honest. I know there's that classic saying of like a bad, what is it, a bad craftsman blames his tools or something like that. Like I think the premise is you should be able to do anything with any tool, but I don't know.
Mm.
I would struggle to do a lot of my sculpting without color shapers. Like I'm not saying you can't do it, but for me they just make it so accessible. I think as a tool, and they're not too expensive, and they don't last as forever as like a dental tool, but they're pretty durable things, right?
Yeah, they're nice. They're
Mm,
mostly made. The silicone, I think, is the end of them, which
yeah,
doesn't really stick to putty. I
yeah.
would recommend making sure that after the session, when you're working with them, to make sure that the putty isn't, if you're working with milliput, that it's not stuck on the end, because if it does get stuck, you'll have to be very careful to sand it back off, because if you try to pull it, it may just end up tearing the silicone.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I've done that myself on a few of them, unfortunately. You live that and you learn the hard way. Thoughts on brown stuff?
I I haven't really used much brown
Mm,
stuff,
mm.
so yeah, I can't really comment too much on that.
Yeah, I found
You?
it. I used it very briefly in the early days, and it was yeah. I haven't used it in many years, honestly. I found that it held detail really well. I found it a bit. It was more like green stuff than anything, I guess. Maybe a bit more tacky, but I'll be honest, I didn't use it for very long, because I eventually found milliput, and for a long time, milliput mixed with green stuff was my vessel of choice, just because it had such a good flexibility of sandability. It felt like it had a better cure. Sorry, not better, a more manageable cure time for the skill set that I had at that period.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand how,
Well
if you,
said.
thank you. It's very diplomatic, wasn't it? Thank you, thank you. I don't really know why I was being diplomatic. I could have just shat on myself. But anyway, yeah, I think now I understand better, and I continue to learn that if you sculpt the tackiness stage that the putty's at, you can just get so much more out of it. Can I confess one last thing to you? Well, not one last thing, but one more thing I should say. Have you ever, have you ever in your like sculpting? Look at you laughing. I'm stressed. I feel like I'm confessing something to Dad. Chat. This might be. I should have saved this to the end. He might just hang up. Have you ever used super glue on the model and then stuck the putty onto it and then sculpted it just so it didn't move, even in the tackiest stage?
That is a great question, man, because that's a big part of the learning process, is figuring out how to get the putty to stick to the model
Yeah.
and not just stick to other things. And sometimes a solution that may occur to you is, oh, okay, I'll just put down some super glue and then put the putty on there. I've always tried to avoid that
Mm,
personally, just because it's adding another layer
mm,
in between the two parts.
mm,
Um, Understanding how to work with the putty in that early
mm.
part of the mix will solve so many of those problems.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm not saying
so
I've done it.
the
I'd be embarrassed if I did that.
Oh my god, Nick. But okay, a great example where that works really
mm,
good.
mm.
So when we were chatting last night, when we were trying to iron out all our technical difficulties, which
Yes.
um,
I'll never believe it, dude. Let's just forget it. Let's pretend we just rocked up and did nothing. Let's just go with that story.
so let's say you're mixing up putty and you're going to
Yep.
be making capes.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's still here, but Abyss Walker was just in the chat earlier, and he's amazing at making really flowing capes and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Um, so if you're mixing up putty and you mix in some powder or talc or cornstarch into it, you'll eventually lose the tackiness of the putty.
Right.
What that gets you is it lets you, yeah, yeah, there he is. Um, so this allows you that it will make the putty even softer looking, so it will look even more like cloth, because it won't be shiny, but
Mm-hmm.
it won't be sticky at all. So you will have to lean on something else to get it to stick to the model, unless it has some sort of serious mechanical connection. Um,
Does that
I wish
fade?
I,
Can I ask? Sorry, because that's a really interesting. Just to double click on that because I don't think in all my years of researching sculpting as well, the concept of adding talcum powder into the mix is not
Hmm.
very common at all. Vaseline, super common for sculpting, but the talcum powder is very new. Does that eventually go away? Like with Vaseline, it can essentially you can just wash it off after it's cured, or a little bit of isopropyl will reduce it. Does the talc dissipate in terms of that effect, or is it always going to be a problem if you mix it in?
I wouldn't say that it would be a problem.
Mm,
What it does is you are blending it into the putty, so you're adding it into the body of the putty itself. So it's becoming
mm,
it's becoming one, and so you're adding another filler material into it. So if you've ever bought epoxy resin, like the five
yes.
minute epoxy, that's the same sort of chemical reaction that's happening with epoxy putty. It's just that putties have fillers in them to make them feel the way that they feel, so that they are handleable. You can't just pick up a
Mm,
5 minute epoxy resin and move it. It'll just like stick to your hands and stuff.
mm,
Adding the talc to green stuff, for instance, removes the tackiness of it, and it just stays within there. Um, if you continuously mix it and mix it and mix it and mix it with the talc in it, it will become tacky again. So there are like little windows where it becomes handleable, but it's not an issue in terms of leaving it. I mean, it paints just fine. It holds
yeah.
primer just fine.
Yeah. Cool.
It'll be very matte, and
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But back to your glue question,
Mm,
is that if you use a super glue that is like a medium body or a gel super glue
hmm.
to adhere a cape to a mini,
Hmm.
something that you've mixed up some talc into it, made your flat plane, start to move it around to get some nice movement. If you want that to stick to the mini without a serious mechanical connection, like maybe just a
Hmm.
couple of contact points on the shoulders, put 2 dots of super glue and then a little bit of pressure, and it'll stick really well, because that
Mm,
super glue it'll the putty will grab it and pull it up into it,
mm,
because it's so porous, and that works well. And that is something that I do.
mm. Okay.
As
So you
far as like,
just to clarify, you're confessing you do use super glue as well too.
oh, absolutely, yeah. And the brass, like brass, it has to have some sort of glue to stick to
Yes.
the
True.
plastic.
Yeah.
And so I've got a couple of videos on
Mm.
Patreon using different types of super glue, and my favorite thing right now is using a black super glue that you can see really well. It's got a little bit of rubber in it, so
Wow.
it's flexible as well.
Mm.
And then using debonder with that to do you ever use debonder with super glue?
No, I use the
So let
opposite, if anything.
Oh, the accelerator.
Yeah, accelerator, or to be honest, for a lot of my conversions, I love bicarb soda and super glue because I love the concrete reinforcement, especially for like internal joints. I'll try and pull some photos up.
Okay,
Um,
wait. What was that you said you use with the super glue?
so it might be called something different in America, but like baking soda, you would call it in America.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
that's very similar to what's happening whenever you mix in talc or cornstarch or
cool.
powder into putty. When
Mm,
that putty has that in it and it touches super glue, it's the same thing as when you sprinkle whatever it is you said that I don't understand what it was.
sodium bicarbonate
Yes.
is what someone in
Yes,
chat said,
yes, yes,
who's
yes.
much smarter than me, clearly. Yes.
So, yep, yep. It'll react very similar
Mm,
to that. It'll dry very quickly.
yeah. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. The sodium bicarbonate and Ca glue is it's a like a thermo reaction. Like it actually gets warm, like it's really intense.
Yeah,
Um, but it's
yeah,
amazing. You can even sand it, like and sculpt it. It's really
yep,
quite an interesting. So yeah, I love doing it for. Again, shameless plug, but in the video that's dropping next week, I show a lot of the internal rib caging that I do for big conversions on things like Age of Sigmar models. A lot of
yeah.
them, especially the monsters, they have they're all hollow because the kits are massive, and so you can't
Mm-hmm.
pin for durability. You can't really pin a 1.5 mil plastic wall. So I'll use wire, 1.5, 2.5 millimeter brass wire to create like an internal rib cage, and then with CA glue, baking, bicarb soda, whatever it is,
Yep.
you can then create this really, really strong internal structure that is essentially a skeleton. Yeah. And then you can
Yeah.
fill it with whatever, and then putty over the top. So that's something that I use it for quite commonly. But the talc thing is so cool, and I've got a lot of capes to do coming up. It's not capes. I'm going to be sculpting a lot of like banners, like back banners for some of
Oh
the
yeah.
ogres. Yeah, yeah, like bushy
Mm-hmm.
banners, bushy banners, or however you say it, for like samurai kind of thing. So let me ask a question on
Yes.
this. I'm going to get some free advice while you're here. So say I'm going to do like 8 of them, right? I want them to be fairly similar size. Have you ever done something where you create like almost a relief, like say milliput, you would create like
Oh,
a
make a positive shape
yeah,
and then
exactly,
drape
yeah,
it over it.
exactly, yeah. So they all kind of yeah. God, you're
Yeah, you
smart,
could
mate.
you could absolutely do that.
Mm.
If you're looking for repetition,
Yes, yes.
yep, you could do that.
Mm.
Um, for something with banners, you could roll out your plane and do, basically like rolling out pizza dough, like do
Mhm.
a great big sheet and then
Mhm.
cut yourself up, make a template. Like I would
Mm.
suggest draw out your banner first in paper,
Mhm.
just on a sheet of paper. So you have, and then cut that out with some scissors or a hobby blade. Then you have something that is the size that you want, and then you can lay that over your putty and then start to cut back
Mhm.
into it, and just gain the ability to make a whole bunch of them all at once.
Yeah, that's really yeah. I think that's genuinely I will do that because I'd like to be able to. I don't need insane variation. Like, and you can do little bits anyway. Like, it's not too hard. Like, it's easy to flick a corner up or something like that. Cool. That's radical, mate. Hey, there's a really good question in here that I actually would like to talk about because that is something that I think a lot of people would do more sculpting if they felt it was more accessible. So Tim in the chat on YouTube chat asked for those that don't green stuff anything. I'm going to put words in his mouth and say sculpt because even if it's not green stuff, I'm assuming he's just talking about sculpting. What's a good thing to start trying to make as a noob?
Oh, if you're looking to just get started with working
Yeah,
with putty,
yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Sculpting hair. It's very approachable.
Mm-hmm.
I have I have a lot of videos on how to sculpt hair. It's very forgiving in that you can
Yeah.
really lean into just watching what the marks do when you start to push into it, and that for me, that's what really became addicting about it,
Mm.
is how to lean on those natural effects of when you make a mark and start to stack up those marks. What do they do when you start to push around the entire shape? So once you define your hairline, put in
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of texture, and then just move the whole surface,
Mm-hmm.
all of those marks that you've made will start to move. And it's yeah, it. I think the biggest hurdle is just understanding how to mix it up without it getting all over your hands,
Mm.
you know then just getting it over to the model
Mm.
um, can be the speed bump or the roadblock for you.
Yeah. Have you ever done a video on the green stuff, like I was going to call it life cycle, but that doesn't sound. It's not quite right. Maybe like the tackiness cycle. Have you ever done something where you visualize like from 0 to 5 minutes or 0 to 15 minutes? You'll notice these are some of the properties. Here's how you can use it in a positive way. From 15 to 30 minutes, here's what you know what I mean.
Yeah, a lot of that is peppered in a lot of my videos.
Mm,
I do have a video in particular that talks just about the properties of putty, called Understanding Epoxy Putty. um, where yeah, I would start there. That's
yeah.
going to be your touchstone for understanding how all of them work together and what
Yeah. Sweet.
each of them individually can do with visual examples, uh, uh, using different pieces of my work to say, okay, this is what I used for this particular mix.
Hmm.
This is why you would want to mix with these ratios, stuff like that. And then
Yep.
that kind of stuff is peppered in almost all my videos that I'm working with epoxy putty in.
Yeah, awesome. So to summarize that, hair and fur, or just hair
Yeah,
for
hair,
a great
fur,
place to start. Yeah,
natural, organic movement type stuff.
yeah,
And hair is nice, especially beards, because there's already the armature there. You don't have to worry about
yeah.
the putty holding its own weight anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're just getting it over to the model. There's plenty of surface area for it to grab onto. It doesn't have to float out somewhere that has to be on an armature. You're literally rolling up a ball and turning it
Yeah,
into an oval and just mushing it on the face, and then just start at the hairline and start
yep,
pushing that down.
yep.
And yeah, so beards in particular are a great starting point. And
Yeah,
Alexi asks if I glove up whenever I mix putty,
yeah,
and yes, I try to glove up when I mix putty, especially Milliput and Magic Sculpt,
yeah.
because they are porous and they're really, really soft. They get into my fingerprints really well.
Mm,
And if I don't, I will mix the putty up and then I'll wash my hands before I come back.
yeah. I think
One
they're also
thing,
toxic, right? Too. Green stuff is to a degree, right?
I
I don't
mean,
think it's.
I don't understand all of the everything that's in there, and I'm sure it's not
Mm.
great to have your body absorb it. So
Don't eat it, kids.
yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah,
And if you're
yeah, yeah.
sanding it, wear a mask when you're creating small particulates.
Yes.
I can suggest, and this will be a tip if you're new to epoxy putty, is
Mm,
after you mix it, and if you aren't wearing gloves, wash your hands afterwards and get your hands really nice and clean, because
mm,
putty likes to stick to itself almost more than anything else. So if you have any kind of
mm.
tackiness on your hands and then go to touch it again, it's going to want to stick to your hands. Same with your tools. If your tools have residue on the ends of them, when you go to then put it on the putty, it's just going to pull. Think about it like Velcro. It's just going to
Yeah,
grab onto it and then pull it away.
yep.
So look really closely at your tools. If you need a magnifier, get a little magnifier, um, and look closely and make sure that everything's nice and clean
Mm.
before you apply it to the surface. Because if it has that residue on it, it's just gonna want to pull right back off the surface.
So finishing on that track of getting started with sculpting or putties, you've got beards, hair, natural kind of pelts, whatever, as a good starting place. Someone else asked in the chat, what are some tools that are really good to start you off with? Like maybe some that you make, maybe some that you have around the house, maybe some you buy, you know?
Yeah, a toothpick, cocktail
Yeah.
sticks. That was
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge one because you can get so much mileage out of it. They're
Mm,
practically free. The
mm-hmm.
wood having a little bit of flexibility is nice, and
Mm,
it's not as tacky as metal. If
mm,
you're using metal, you almost need a little bit of lubrication on it, and I'm not a fan of oils when I'm using
mm-hmm.
my sculpting tools. I try not to introduce any oils into the surface,
Yep.
because I do like to layer, and if you
Mm-hmm.
get oil on the surface, you can't then put another layer until you clean that oil off.
Yeah.
But with wood, and someone asked in chat, okay, confession time, have you ever used saliva as your putty lube? Yes, absolutely, use saliva as putty lube. Often,
Yeah.
and and I don't
Don't lick
I,
it, but yes,
I
yeah.
don't lick it, and I do have a YouTube tutorial on sculpting beards where I put the toothpick in my mouth. Those are early days for me, and I realized don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I will lick I'll lick the side of my hand and get a little bit of spit on the
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
my hand, and then
Yeah.
use that as a little reservoir, because your spit has a viscosity to it that that water doesn't have. Um, so yeah, absolutely, we'll use a little bit of spit,
Yeah.
and
As
it'll evaporate, and yeah.
that's
So
cool. I use Vaseline as lube for my sculpting. Quite commonly. I don't always do it, but if I know that I'm not layering, I love this because I have it on my glove and I'll have like a little bit and I use it as like a little well and I'll dip into it. So to clarify, when you said before you don't like using oils because you do a lot of layering. Petroleum jelly, is that an oil? Petroleum, I'm assuming. That's how stupid I am, but you're not
it's
using things like
it's
that?
great. No, 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 no.
No.
I it, um I find that they linger around too long. But the bigger reason why I don't like to introduce oil or too much lubrication into the surface is I lose the ability to control the friction of the tool on the surface.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
to really look close at what's the tool doing when it travels over the surface. Is it sticking to it? Is it grabbing
Mm.
it? Is it sliding over it? If you put Vaseline on your tool, when
Mm.
that touches the surface, it's going to just glide right over it, and
Mm.
it'll and that can be what you want. But I prefer the friction of the tool over the surface, so I can get I want it to kind of pull and drag
Yeah.
over the surface at times. And then I choose my putty mix to be appropriate for what it is I want to do, when
Mm.
I'm making something.
So, question, because this is interesting. You just said there that you like you a few things you mentioned there that you were talking about that you love the tactile nature, essentially, of the tool interacting with the putty at the specific point that you want it to. Do you think that someone who doesn't have that level of granular control over or granular knowledge over, oh, the putty's at this stage, therefore I know I can interact with it in this manner? Do you think
Mm.
something like Vaseline or a different lubricant is something that helps bridge that lack of skill gap?
No, I think that it's
Mm.
adding in another factor that you have to worry about. And it may
Yeah.
seem at first like it's going to make it easier because it's keeping it off the tool. It's maybe making it easier to make a mark and not have it pull back off the model. I think that I'm not saying it'll hurt you in the long run, but it
Mm-mm.
will prohibit your understanding that going slower, keeping your tools clean, and really working on the compression of the surface down towards the plastic or whatever it is that you're trying to make it stick to. That's the understanding that you want to try to gain so that you can be more in control of the amounts that you're adding.
Yeah.
Um, in my last hair video that I did on Patreon, it's my most recent video. I'm adding in, so instead of starting with a great big volume of putty and then just pushing and pulling, I'm adding small individual bits and stacking those on top of each
Mm-hmm.
other and blending them all together. Adding, if you had oil on your tools, that wouldn't be possible. None of the putty
Yeah.
would stick. It wouldn't
Yeah.
stick to itself, or
Yeah.
really the moment that tool that has oil on it touches the plastic elsewhere, then if you try to
Yeah.
put putty there, it's really not going to stick.
Yeah.
Um, and
It
so
controlling it is so much harder. You are correct. You really have to
think
be fastidious with washing it.
and touching back on the
Mm.
porosity of Milliput and Magic Sculpt, because they're porous, they'll hold a little bit of water at the time that you put it in it, which will allow you to move it around and transfer it from place to place. And that water
Mm.
will evaporate pretty
Yes.
quickly, within a
Mm-hmm.
couple of minutes. And when it does evaporate, it will it will adhere to where it's at.
Mm.
It'll adhere to itself. It'll adhere to the plastic, and it gives you the ability to move it around at scale, and also let it evaporate so then it sticks. And
Mm.
so
Mm.
I suggest getting comfortable with putty, mixing
Mm.
them together to try to find the ratio that you like, and branching off from there.
Okay. That's good. That's honestly, that's I think that's cool because truthfully, I do think I use Vaseline as a crutch, to make up for the lack of time that I have spent trying to learn how putty interacts at different stages. So that's probably for me the next step in terms of advancing as a sculptor. A
I
is
think it'll
just
help you
doing it
slow
more.
down.
Yeah, true, 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 true. Yeah, which is not something I'm good at doing. So that if that's
But
if that's the
also,
thing that makes me slow down, well, all these years.
I also I'm also not here to bash on Vaseline. Like this is just my particular method and my way of interacting with the putty. If you need the tool to slide over the surface to achieve a certain thing, then Vaseline, that's your ticket. Like
Sure.
you'll be greased up. You won't be able to
Yeah.
catch that hog.
Honestly, I'm on edge, team. This is like the most stressed I've ever been on a live stream. I'm on the internet right now. I'm just trying to hold my composure. We're talking about some crazy stuff right now. Yeah, true. We're not catching hogs here in chat. There's too much Vaseline.
Okay, Alexi says, I find
Yeah, he's
Milliput
got an
really
interesting one.
manageable, but the Tamiya putty, I struggle using just water, but think it's worth trying without it for sure. This is such a great comment because
Yes.
Tamiya QuickType will not absorb water at all.
Hmm.
It's completely waterproof.
Yeah.
This is why water doesn't work great as a I don't well, I guess as a lubricant with
Hmm.
pure Tamiya putty.
Hmm.
Um,
Same with green
because it
stuff.
is exactly the same with
Yeah.
green
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
because it's non-porous. It'll
Yeah.
just reject it from the surface. So mixing in a little bit of Milliput or Magic Sculpt into Tamiya or green stuff will give it porosity, which means that
Mm.
it holds water, which means that it will then be able to be transferred and held with a brush with capillary action
Mm.
and be able to put it over on the model. Then that will evaporate and then it will stick.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Comment on a question here in Twitch chat around any comments on Tamiya smooth surface or
Yeah. So
smooth type.
Tamiya smooth type or smooth surface. Um, it's a lot like quick type,
Yeah.
but it's not quick. It has the same curing spectrum as green stuff, Milliput, Magic Sculpt. Um,
Mm.
Tamiya quick type is unique in that it's one of the only putties that cures faster than the rest. So
Mm.
it gets harder quicker. It
Yeah.
starts to cure faster. Smooth type is slower. Um, so yeah,
Mm.
I like it. I think it's nice. It's
Yeah.
pretty translucent. It's pretty translucent, which QuickType is also translucent. So if you're working really small scale and stuff, it can be
Hmm.
sometimes hard to see. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I think you and I were talking about this the other week, but I'm quite enjoying the speed at which QuickType hardens. It's just actually really refreshing because you haven't mentioned it here, but something you'd said to me, I was messaging Val when I first picked it up because I've been noticing a lot of inconsistency with my green stuff. No matter where I got it, how much I got, what brand, what style, there was a real problem, and it could be an Australian thing. I don't know, but I was struggling to get
it's
quality
not.
green stuff. Yeah, it's not, there you go. But he was saying try Tamiya QuickType, and so I was looking at it, and one of the things that you said that I'd noticed instantly was, we keep referring to these like stages of putty tackiness, and therefore how you interact with it and the model, etc. It
Hmm.
moves through that cycle really quickly. Whereas
It
green
does.
stuff, you can set up green stuff for Christ. I think I've set up green stuff for 45 minutes to an hour sometimes, and still
Yeah.
gone in, and you can go in and work it.
Yep.
That's I think it was cured in an hour. Like it was so quick, or maybe not an hour, but it was very quick. Like it
Yeah, green
yeah.
stuff has around a 3 hour working window where you
Mm-hmm.
can still kind of push into it, maybe even a little longer, depending on how
Mm-hmm.
hot the room is. Tamiya QuickType sets up pretty quickly, and so
Mm.
it's faster, so you can get to
Mm.
that sort of little golden window where
Yeah. They're
maybe
golden
that.
now.
Yeah, and that'll be
Yeah.
different for everyone because
Mm.
I personally like it when the putty's very soft when I'm pushing it around. And then I also like it when it's totally set up and hardened so I can then come back in and scrape into it and stuff.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good chat. There's an interesting comment here, and as someone who makes their own tools, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on this. In the Twitch chat, I've found for sticky putty, it's helpful to spend a little time to polish your metal tools as well. Any surface
Yes,
texture can make it grip those sticky types.
exactly. Just keeping your tools really nice and clean.
Mm.
You don't want a rough surface going into the putty, especially when it's a tacky putty that it's just going to grab it like Velcro and pull away.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool, mate. I think that's really, really interesting. So I guess one of the things I want to just like land on, because I do want people who haven't sculpted or haven't sculpted much or haven't branched out after an initial journey, because I think that's the most common. I think most people rather haven't sculpted or They've seen something amazing online and gone, wow, that's cool. I'm going to try it. Tried it and gone, this sucks. What on earth? And they've never gone back to it. So the different putties we're talking about here. So some examples like Milliput Standard, Green Stuff, Tamiya Quick Type, Magic Sculpt. These kind of fairly common. Magic Sculpt and Epoxy Sculpt are a little harder to get in Australia, but doable, but just a little bit more difficult. The rest are pretty ubiquitous. We sell all of it, I think. The If you're making something, if you're terraforming a base, Milliput is your prefer.
Oh, what's the question?
If you're terraforming a base, like if you're like adding height and adding rocks to a base or sculpting a
Ah,
plinth, like something
millip
very earthy, Milliput.
yeah, milliput's great for that.
Mm-hmm.
It, yeah, it it works. It's the most clay-like of the
Mm-hmm.
putties. It's the least elastic. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're wanting something to look rocky, you don't want your rocks to look rubbery unless you want
Yeah.
them to look very stylized. I mean,
Mm.
you can make very stylized, cool looking rocks out of pure green stuff. But
Mm.
if you want your rocks to look more realistic and maybe even create some breaks that has like a natural broken off effect, Milliput's great
Mm.
for that because it's so porous that whenever
Mm.
it is cured, you can sort of snap it and break it. And it sometimes gets a bad rap because it seems brittle
Yeah.
once it's set up, and it can be brittle,
If it's
especially
really thin veneer or
if it's
something, yeah,
very
right.
thin. Yeah, it can be
Yeah,
brittle,
yeah.
but you can leverage that. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
Milliput's
think that's
great.
I love the ability for Milliput as well, even again with the tetanus knife. It just being able to just gently scrape at it and create little facets and texture,
It's
and it's so
amazing.
easy for that, right? So Milliput is also really good for because of this clay-like, water-soluble, hydrophilic nature of it, right? It's also quite good for gap filling, for models. So if you're a
Yep.
fantasy old world purveyor, gap filling is your second job with some of those old metal models. You have talked before about using a brush to apply it with water to create a slurry, or
Hmm.
what's the other alcohol, like IPA, like 99%. You can mix Milliput with that, right, to create like almost like a like a low capillary kind
Yep.
of slurry as well.
Yeah, it'll lay
Um,
down in cracks. You can build it up over the surfaces and then sand them back down because it blends and feathers nice.
yes.
Tamiya you can feather out really well. Green stuff doesn't feather as well because it's so rubbery. It'll a
Mm,
lot of times you'll have an edge that you can see.
mm,
Um, but if you are working with old metal models, having a little bit of green stuff in your milliput mix isn't a bad thing because it'll
mm.
add a lot of strength to it.
Yeah. Yep.
Just make sure that whenever you're putting it into the crack, that you really are compressing it downwards in there.
Mm,
And if you build it up higher than it needs to be, it's kind of a good thing if you have access to it after it's
hmm.
cured to then sand it back down and you can feather that away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, touching on that like reductive style of sculpting, where you're going beyond what you needed to, so you can bring it
So
back
you
down.
can,
So
yep, sand it back
yeah,
down.
cool. So Milliput covered a few really good uses there. I also see in a lot of the photos that you put online, I'll isopropyl alcohol, yes, for IPA. Sorry, not Indian Pale Ale. Although I haven't tried it, so please report back. Have you tried that? IP like beer and Milliput?
I don't remember if I did, so maybe.
I think it tasted good. No, but I see you use Milliput as well for um, like sculpting. Like for example, if you're not that I see you do this a lot, but say you were changing the aspect of what do they call them? True scale marines, where they cut the legs and lengthen them. That kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. You use Milliput in this situation as well, because or is that
yes.
Tamiya? Sometimes I can't tell.
Mm,
Ooh.
it's a mixture. I think I have a very in-depth video on extending. Well, two. I have at least two videos on that topic, but one in particular that I really like is in my Terminator series. I am lengthening the legs. I cut it at the thigh, and then lengthen it, but I also scale it outwards. And so it was a complex shape because it's not just a cylinder that gets longer, but it's sort of, it has a swell to it to make it look like it's to match the rest of the form of the armor.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I used Magic Sculpt in that
Mm.
mix with Tamiya. I needed it to be very sticky in order to really grasp all of those surfaces in there, but I also needed it to be easily sandable and to break down with a brush while I was working it. And in the video, I erode the surface down with a brush in the later stages to sort of polish the surface and form it. Once it's cured, I then came back in and started sanding it down.
Mm.
Milliput would work in the same way as Magic Sculpt did in that instance. Magic Sculpt is just a little bit denser. Like it's not,
Mm.
it's still porous, but it's just denser.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. And
Yeah. Cool.
someone
Cool.
asked
Cool.
my preferred type of milliput
Mm-hmm.
is milliput standard. I use just your
Yellow gray.
regular
It's
old
called, right?
uh
Well, it's just called. It's actually called standard. No, it's not even
yeah,
called yellow
milliput
gray anymore.
standard is my favorite. I do have black milliput as well,
Mm.
which is nice. I like to use that for basing. I like the way that the black rocks look. As opposed to the lighter green. So sometimes I'm just using whatever color it is so that I can see. Um, but
Mm.
yeah, milliput standard's my most common.
Once I accidentally bought Superfine, and that was not super enjoyable. If I'm honest with you, I didn't know how. I don't know what it was about it, but it just didn't
Oh,
work
the
for.
super fine.
Yeah, I couldn't. It didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with it. I prefer Magic Sculpt. If
Mm.
I'm looking for a putty that is that color, the milliput superfine white is more of a chalky color
Yes.
to it. Um, and the Magic Sculpt has more of a bone, and it's not just a color thing. It's just Magic Sculpt is just so dense,
Yeah.
and that I want that density whenever I'm working with super fine details like that.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a really
that's
there's a big question here from Alexi in the Twitch chat. I'm gonna read it and also paraphrase it.
yeah.
Alexi has been working with gap filling slash filling scratches in big like 3D printed resin models, and the problem he's having is that when he's sanding it back, one of the like the milli part or the resin is sanding back quicker than the other. So how can you overcome that?
Hang, uh, hang on, I
You
got to
can
read it
read.
myself.
Yeah, yeah, read it.
I
Yeah,
was I
I'm
was
reading it for.
responding
Sorry,
to some.
sorry. When I say that, I'm reading it for the YouTube because I don't think they can see that chat. So that's me,
Oh,
kind of.
okay.
That's why I'm reading this question, just so you know. Because chat, if I knew what I was doing, I'd have this whole thing overlaid onto the video. But you saw how much trouble we had even just getting turned on. So goodness gracious,
Yes.
that's
Oh,
that's next time.
this is such a great question. So he's having trouble. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to read this.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah,
a
read it.
question
Go,
for you.
go, go.
Here's a
Yeah.
question for you. I've been having trouble lately filling gaps and scratches in the surface of 3D printed resin. Sanding it back, finding the milliput or whatever else I'm using is just a different density to the 3D printed resin. That's a that's beautiful. So one material is getting sanded down faster than the other and surface doesn't stay even. Wondering if you ever come across this or have some super secret tips about it. Okay, being aware that this is happening is a huge step forward in understanding how to
Overcome it.
what's that? To how to
You.
overcome it.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you're using sanding sponges to reduce one surface and it's hitting the next and one's getting faster, less pressure. The more pressure you put down, the faster it's going to sand the more sandable surface, and then you'll end up getting a difference between the two surfaces. So I make this analogy often is think about patching a hole in your wall or putting bondo in a dent in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Metal is harder than the bondo, and if you're sanding that down, a light touch is going to be important, and sometimes a couple of different layers. And so think about the top layer. You think about feathering that out. And so even to the point where you are sanding it away from itself, so that way you're
Mm-hmm.
not driving dust up underneath the the edge of wherever it is that you're filling.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, a lighter touch, but then you can also use tools that disregard how easy something sands, because it's just going to go through both materials at the same time. Like if you're
Yeah.
using a file,
Mm.
and this happens often whenever I am cleaning something like a chain sword,
Mm.
like on the top of the chain sword, when you clip it off the sprue, for whatever reason, the injection point of the plastic that's getting pushed into the mold, and then when you clip it, that little spot is
Mm.
harder than
Yeah.
the plastic around it. So if you've ever been scraping away a seam and you come across that spot where you clipped it off the sprue, sometimes after you put your primer on, you'll be like, I can kind of still see that spot.
Yeah.
If you're using a sanding sponge and it's soft and you're going down through that surface, it may reveal that bump because everything
Mm.
around it's softer than that spot. But if you use a file and you're very diligent about the pressure that you're pushing downwards, it's going to
Mm.
remove all that material simultaneously down.
Yeah, because it's strong.
And it'll be, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It's just going to take them both down to the same level. Now, if you then sand over that, you may expose it again. So it's just a matter of balancing that pressure, but yeah, being aware of it's really important to overcome it.
Skits just said something that I'll be honest, I thought it was as well. I always assumed that it was when you're clipping, you're forcing like a density from the clipper and the pressure there. That's yeah, that's
Yeah,
to be honest, I actually
it's
noticed
like
that.
it's compressing it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I actually noticed that's probably my favorite thing. It's pretty rare that I have like a favorite product, man. Honestly, like in a range of anything, because I just love every product generally. They're all pretty good. Some are better than others in different ways, but these God hand clippers are like the craziest, sharpest. I
Oh
reckon
yeah,
that has
that can
happened
help.
so much less since I started using
Hmm.
this type of clipper, where it's just ultra like single edge blade, just bang, and then in it, dude, they're so cheap. I just couldn't. Yeah, they are seriously a product that really help lessen the amount that happens to me, because it's just the worst thing when you prime it and it just comes up and you go, oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
There is a chat in there's a question in the YouTube chat. Can you can't see it though, can you?
No.
Or can you see the YouTube? Okay,
Or
I'll read it for you.
I don't know. Maybe I can.
Can you
Yeah.
see the red?
Read it out.
I'll read it out to you. I have a question. I had my box of Milliput on the table and spilled water that sat on the table and soaked into the Milliput over a week or so. I've never used Milliput. Do you think it is destroyed?
Um, I've never had that happen, so I can't say yes or
Mm,
no. Test it out. Like grab
yeah,
yourself some of the, mix it up and see. But I do know that it will absorb quite a bit of that water, but it should evaporate out of it. And as long as the resin and the hardener aren't mixed together, it should be okay.
yeah,
So yeah, unless both the resin and the hardener have come in contact with the water and then mixed together, it may be
yeah,
shot at that point. But yeah.
yeah. Might have to have a sacrifice ceremony for it. Yeah, cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I want to just really quickly, while chat's doing their thing, I want to just quickly finish off that loop that I was talking about, because I do think it's an interesting and important thing for that segment of the community. Right? We've talked a lot about Milliput, how it interacts, what we can use it for, different use cases. Let's maybe just group, if it's okay to, green stuff forward slash to me a quick type as something that's quite a rubbery, hydrophobic type of putty. Uh,
Elastic.
Elastic, yeah. So there's some of the properties. Are there any other properties that those two have in common? And then as a result, that you will use them for differently to something like Milliput?
Yeah, absolutely. That I will mix in if I need it to be tacky, to grab onto surfaces, but more if I need something to be really strong that's off the model. For instance, like pelts that are flying off the model that need to
Mm,
hold more
hold
layers
their
and
own weight.
things. Yeah, they will sag, so you have to
Mm,
come up with a way of sort of propping them up. But if you're looking to make something that is going to, especially for tabletop gaming, if you want a cape that's like flowing off the mini, if you were to make that out of pure milliput, it would be more fragile than if it
mm,
were made out of a Tamiya QuickType or green stuff mixture. So strength is a big part of why I would want to use those
Okay.
for something that's coming off the mini. And also think about the elasticity
Mm-hmm.
of the putty whenever you're making the tool marks. If you want stretchiness, then those are your go-to if you
Yep.
want it to stretch and pull, because Milliput and Magic Sculpt don't have as much elasticity, and so they'll compress, and
Yep.
they'll just have a different quality to them.
Yeah. So, for example, like if you're doing, like you do a lot of very, very fine work. So, for something like the filigree, you would use one of those type of putties in a mix.
You mean Tamiya or green
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. Or something similar to the, yeah.
So yes, with the filigree, if you are trying to make it extremely thin and really, really so it tapers out to a super fine point, it can
Mm-hmm.
be done with Milliput and Magic Sculpt. But if you are introducing water with a brush to move it over and shape it, because those putties are so water soluble, they may break apart whenever they are really, really small like that. So adding a little bit of green stuff or Tamiya in there will help it hold together while you form it.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's I feel like a great example of why
Yeah.
you would want to add those in the mix.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And again, I think this is where it gets so confusing because it's like with paints at the end of the day, for a lot of us and for a lot of tasks, paints can just be paints. You can interchange a lot of them generically within the same range fairly easily, but putties do have a lot of different properties, which can make it difficult to know which one to do. So thank you. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, sick, man. So good. Now, while we've been talking, I've been trying to pull up, although your camera is actually super high def right now. So I feel like I would trust if you wanted to switch to the other one and uh, show us some zoomed in work if you wanted to. Otherwise, I can risk.
You've also got the slides as well you could bring up
I know that
because
I'm
let's
just so scared
see.
of losing our beautiful faces. And that's what
But
people are
yeah,
paying a lot of money to
I am
see.
more than happy to show some stuff on the camera here. Nice and clear.
Yeah, we're crystal, baby.
All right.
Man, that's an epic scene.
So yeah, there's some examples of filigree on the bolter here where I'm using small, uh, you know, little coils of putty. And there's no glue or anything. It's just the adhesion of the putty that's on top of the bolter there with a little
Mm-hmm.
gem at the top. And those were applied. Those are rolled out and applied with a brush
Mm-hmm.
and shaped in place. Um, yeah, I mean,
It's
if you have any questions,
yeah.
hit me.
So I'm just so really quickly. Let's because we've just spoken about using different putties for different applications. We've spoken about sculpting in layers, right? Let's overlay those two practices, those two principles onto this model because I can see
Oh yeah,
three
okay.
different
So
putties and a couple of mixes. So what do we got here?
the belt is a really great example of layers,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of my the belt in particular. Not this mod here. Actually, let's just go ahead and grab the model. That was my.
Oh, I
So
love
this
this one,
guy,
dude. Oh, it's so good. The claws are
this
so good.
this guy here was a big level up for me. On the belt in particular was one of those situations where I couldn't wrap my head around how to create a trim that looked like it had leather straps sort of wrapped around it. And the solution was learning how to use the brush to move small coils of putty from one place to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And so that strap doesn't actually coil all the way around there.
Mm.
It it's individual little coils that I've laid over the top and then tucked behind to sort of create an illusion. And
Mm.
same with the 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 teeth necklace, on the front of the knee here. This is
Mm-hmm.
all just layers. I laid down the necklace part first, or the leather thong, and then did the teeth. And then once the teeth were on there, I put a little indentation in the top of them, and then laid over uh, a small strap over the top of them. So it's three different. Uh, and it doesn't have to be in three different sittings. You don't have to let that sit completely to cure to then come back and do the next part. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it in one setting, but it is three different mixtures of putty to get that. But yeah,
Mm. And so have we also got, what else have we got here? Have we got, oh well, actually maybe let's go back to the big dog. Is that okay?
yeah.
Just because
This
he
one,
had heaps on him. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
This guy has
what putties are we looking at here?
really all of them.
I'll take the lot. Okay, Harry.
The legs. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Expanding the legs, extending them, and also expanding them outwards. That's a mix of, I believe, Tamiya QuickType and Magic Sculpt mixed together
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And then the pauldron trim is green stuff mixed with Magic Sculpt, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
If you look inside the pauldron here, that's, I believe, Tamiya QuickType. The pelts that are flying off the back of the model are probably 60% green stuff. See how they're a little bit darker?
Yeah.
And I knew those would be sort of flying off, and so I needed them to be pretty strong. Um, and I did those in two steps. I did them as small, thin planes, and I got them on there. I let them set up, and then I used a more matte putty. So having milliput in the mix, and then sculpted the fur on top of them.
Mm.
But yeah.
And the weapon, run me through the weapon, because this is a special thing that I think a lot of people would love to understand. Like, obviously, your Patreon is the place to go to deepen the learning. What's like the first step that you would say to someone to get started before they jump into the Patreon to learn more? What is the first step in creating something that has such a defined edge to it?
Well, this drawing it, I've I strongly suggest just drawing weapons, pen and paper. Just get a pencil and just draw. Doesn't have to have any details, just the outline, just the silhouette um, of whatever weapon it is that you want to make is a really big first step
Mm-hmm.
in learning how what it is that you like. Look at lots of references from movies, games, history,
Mm.
all that kind of stuff. Like look at weapons and what it is that you like about them. This is more of like a Danish axe, but it's also stylized in Warhammer Huge, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, get that silhouette down first. And it doesn't have to be made out of metal. It can be done out of plastic and putty and all that stuff. But I find the rigidity of metal is really nice for
Mm.
working on top of. And yeah, so that has a blade, or you can see the kind of the light reflecting off the edge of the blade there, because
Yeah,
it's
I
a
just
core.
noticed
It's
that.
it's a core of metal that's in there.
Right,
So,
right. I also
and then I
pulled up
let
the preview next to it so people can also look at both, just so hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can see that.
let's see here.
Is it showing it? Yes.
Yes, yes, yep.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you essentially have like a flat armature in there, and then you're sculpting
Yes.
up from it to add the volume using putty.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's so cool. There's a few questions popping through in chat while you're doing it around this specifically.
Sure.
Uh, Putty question: you did this amazing putty super fine pipe for the axe handle. How did you get the grooves so small? I tried to build a small roller with a .4 tube, hoping that would work, but it didn't. You might need to read that one because it's a big one from Abbas Walker. It's a good question.
Okay, let's see here. The grooves. I don't understand the grooves.
I think he might be referring on the Wii hand
I
on the
see.
Wii
I
axe.
see. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. The roller. Okay. It's the. Let me go back to the. Just so they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I go
While you're
to
getting that
here.
up, you know what you should put in that studio, dude? You should, in Team America where the guy has like the chair that just like Spotswood and it like goes across the room. You know that? You need that chair in that room, just so you know. So you can just zip around
I
the different little
I hope I
stations.
I hope I understand the question. The grooves. Let me. Oh, in your image, I think. Okay, so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a friend make me a small roller that has really fine grooves in it. Um, yeah. So, find someone that can print you out a because you can buy cable rollers that
Hmm.
have that texture in them to make your rollers. But yeah, you need to. Uh,
The
it's
Green Stuff
I,
World texture roller is really good. The plates
it's huge though. The scale of it's very big.
for this it wouldn't work, right? It's too small.
It's too big. Yeah,
It has different plates in it. Like it has three plates, doesn't it? Three sizes. Even the small one is too big.
I loaned mine to a friend, so I can't show you the difference between them. But the texture of this is much smaller than the Green Stuff World one. But these are printed out. I don't know where he got it from, but I asked him to make me a roller that's basically tiny um, to do that. But that's how that's achieved.
I was trying to find mine for you, dude, but mine is lost in the quagmire of this studio. I dare not delve too deeply or too greedily to find that thing.
I'm glad you're
Um,
able to pull images up because this is a lot easier for me to
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Sorry, dude. I was just scared before of losing it all, but there's some real cracking examples
Okay,
here.
beautiful. This is much more comfortable for me. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
No, it's fine. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some just incredible. Oh goodness. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to scroll. Um, So this is a really interesting example here of like what I love about this one is this is kind of what we were discussing at the start of the video. We were talking about your ability to create fur, but in different manners, in different styles, in different textures. This is, excuse me, quite a shallow reliefed fur on top of his head. I would describe that as.
I
Is it
see a
showing?
necklace on a I see a necklace on a pauldron.
Please hold. Please hold. Please hold.
You see a question from Alexi. Is there wire underneath the putty with those?
I think we were talking about the
No.
blade at that point.
No, if I'm doing pelts that are flying off the model, I don't do an armature.
But I think that he was at the time it was the axe. I think that he was
Ah,
talking about. Oh no, the audio's gone. Oh, audio's
audio is
back. No,
back.
no, audio's back.
Amazing.
Oh, dude. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Alexi was asking about the cables, the very
Ah,
wee cables.
no, those are just rolled out. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you're good, Nick. I'm able to see what you're bringing up. No, there are no wires in any of those. Although it is absolutely possible to roll putty around a wire that small. You can get really fine copper wire, like 36 gauge wire, and wrap putty around it almost like a barber pole, or roll out a small coil of putty and then lay the wire in it, push it down a little bit and then roll it, and you can gain the ability of putting a wire armature in the putty. The reason I don't do that in this instance is because I want to be able to push and move it around very easily with a brush to get the all the curves that I want, so that that way it has the flow, excuse me, that I want it to have, and wire would be difficult, to
Mm.
get the right kind of flow. Yeah.
There's questions from YouTube coming in around the material that was used for the thong of the teeth necklace in this photo, I'm assuming as well. It is putty. It's green stuff, right?
That's putty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably a 50-50 mix somewhere around there. Yeah. Just rolled out very thin and then applied
Yeah.
with a brush.
Yeah. So that, again, you've mentioned it a few times, and I probably keep saying it as well. But I think it's something that I feel is fairly unique to your style. Not unique in terms of you're the only person to do it, but you do it so well, and you have done it for a long time, which is using a brush to control the different putties. Because I've used it with Milliput, but I'd never use a brush with green stuff or one of the elastic or hydrophobic style of putties. But you do. The brush is just such a natural extension, so it's really cool.
Think about it like a really tiny hand that allows you to pick things up and move things around. And you can also, especially when you're working with um, like cloth, or like a loincloth, or little pelts that you want to move from one place to the next and put on the model, if you start to push into them with tools, it's going to displace a lot of putty from one place to the next. If you want to move and shape them around with
Mm,
little consequence of disturbing the surface textures, the brush is really, really good for that, of being able to
mm,
shape and move things around, really gently.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then as you're doing it, the brush I use, and I had a question, there's a question in the chat, synthetic or sable brush. I prefer to use a sable brush because the hairs are much softer and they are a lot more flexible. And they hold water really well. So using a damp brush lets me be in control of the moisture, and then I can be in control of whether or not it's going to stick, how much is there. If I want to continuously move it around on the surface, like with filigree, if I have a little bit of water on the surface, I can continue to move it. If I let that water evaporate, it's going to stick in place, and I'll have to then rehydrate it in order to get it to move. And
Mm,
if I'm pushing into it too much, it'll start to deform. And what I'm looking for, especially with small filigree, is I'm looking for consistency in the form, because if it starts to get deformed and moved around and I have to push it and kind of sculpt it around in place too much, I'll lose the delicacy of what I want it to look like, because I
mm,
like to do most of the hard edge stuff after the putty's totally cured. And
mm,
so getting it in place with a brush in the early portion of the curing spectrum is important for me, so that way it can stick. And then once it's done curing, I'll then come back in and scrape on it and harden it, and
mm.
make it appear harder than what it is, um, by hardening up the edges and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Mate, that's so sick. It's just I think this is the kind of stuff that like will always blow me away about the way that you approach your work, the level of detail and the level of consideration. It's just truly very humbling to I think for all of us to kind of hear and go, okay,
Thanks,
it is, dude, it
man.
is. It truly it is. Like I'm so slapdash. Like literally I'm just sitting here with a glove on, chucking Vaseline on my thumb and just trying to sculpt a guy with a beard. Like it, and I'm happy with it. It's good. But this is so inspiring for me to go, okay, this is the level of consideration you can go to. And then this is the results that you get when you get there, if you're talented. So I'm probably not going to get to this point, but it's cool to see, right? Like it takes a lot of knowledge to bring this up. Now, I want to talk about this because this was cool and this was fairly unique, right? This was one of your first full
Yeah.
Sculpts, right? Yeah. Can you give me a quick? Thanks for joining us, Dork. Sorry, by the way, mate. Thank you, absolute legend.
Yeah.
Great work in the
Thanks
chat,
for
dude.
coming.
Yeah. Tell us really. Yeah. Tell me about this. Tell me about this model. What led to this?
This piece was inspired by some artwork in the 5th edition Space Wolf Codex um, of Ragnar holding a pelt over his head,
Mm,
and the image itself. I think on Instagram I have a side by side of that, um, and I wanted to bring it to life. I wanted to
mm,
see it in 3D, but I also needed to solve a few things with it,
mm,
because the initial image is straight on. You see him directly from the front, and minis are in the round. You see them from all angles, and so it was important for me to make this look cool from all the
mm.
angles. And so I I needed to add a little bit. I wanted to place him. It wasn't clear where he was. Maybe he was in some sort of chamber or something like that. But in my version, I put him on kind of a mountaintop
Yeah.
with a big kind of wolf or a jaw
Mm,
behind him. So it was some
mm,
sort of monument or something like that. But that allowed me to change the direction of the pelt and put him outside and
mm.
make him look cool from different angles. But
The
yeah, so
face is
this was
so well done on this. Every time I
thanks,
zoom in
man.
and see it, it's just like it's so expressive. Is it true that this is actually your teeth?
Oh, those are real teeth. That's from a coyote jaw that I worked
So
in
metal,
the
dude. It's
in the
so
base.
metal. Oh
Yeah,
man.
I think I think it's really nice to have a real world item that
Mm,
also sort of works in the scale, but I think it's nature is so amazing. It no
mm,
matter how close you look at it, it never stops being beautiful. Like it
yeah.
continues. Like there is no point at where you can look at a bone or a tooth or any kind of natural, like pick up a leaf off the ground and look at it in a magnifying glass, and there is no point at which it stops being beautiful. Like
Mm,
there's just constant layers and layers on top of each other of
mm,
like of just like what is I don't understand this. And it's a huge influence on my approach. Is I want to be able to look really closely at surfaces and details and be able to. I mean, no, I can't come anywhere where near nature. Like no one
mm.
can. It's you can't beat it. But
No, you just can't.
having that in the scene,
Mm.
I think that's pretty sweet.
It's awesome, man. It grounds it too in like that form of reality. There was actually a really interesting question. When is the Valbjorn polymer clay arc? When is that coming? When's that story arc?
Man, I love polymer clay.
Mm.
This figure in particular is bees putty, which I
Yep.
highly recommend. It's also made by uh, not a company, but a single guy that just lives in Germany and makes putty,
Really? Is it
which is
really?
amazing. Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's the most German thing I've ever
Stefan,
heard.
Stefan, I think is his name.
Mm.
But yeah, I highly recommend Bees Putty. It's pretty waxy, so that's one of the properties that it has compared to something like Super Sculpey or Fimo, which are a lot softer.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you
Bees
bake
Putty
it?
has
Sorry.
yes, so
You
yeah,
do.
yeah, and this is we could go down a whole rabbit hole of polymer clay, maybe save for another
Yeah.
episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Episode two.
so polymer clay is unique in that it doesn't cure like epoxy putty. It doesn't
Yes.
have a chemical reaction. It does have a couple of different states that it can exist in before it's baked. So when you get it out of the package, it's quite hard. It needs to be conditioned. So I like to call the two different states either unconditioned or conditioned. And so when you
Hmm.
buy a pack of polymer clay, you have to kind of work it in your hands, warm it up a little bit.
And
Some
it's
people say
hard. I think it's really like it's a workout. If you grab too much, right? Well, maybe I
yeah,
just got godlike hands, but like I'm pretty strong. And I remember when I did this with my partner, we were making little like miniature like magnets for the fridge from our travels. And we were
Hmm.
working it, and I was like, I'll rip off half of it. And it was really intense to work. So,
Yeah, start small.
yeah,
Cut it up into small segments and work them individually, and then work them together instead of working with a great big piece. You can also
yeah,
put it in a plastic bag and
just
heat up
bash
some
it.
water on the stove, and not boiling, but just
Yeah,
warm water, and then put the plastic bag with the clay in the water, and it will soften a bit. So
yeah.
that go back to the bear skull, the green one.
Oh, sorry. This one.
That's polymer clay. It's not putty. Um, so certain putties, or I'm sorry, certain clays can come in different colors, and so yeah, that's Bee's Putty Firmness 3 to make that
Right.
skull. And the reason I used clay instead of putty is I didn't want it to harden as I was working it. I needed several days to resolve that shape or those shapes. Skulls are extremely complex, and there's just a lot
Mm.
of different shapes to them. I
And
used
can
a
I ask,
cave bear as a reference for that. But yeah, what's
the
up?
the teeth in this, they're incredibly small. That looks like, what is it, like a 1.5 millimeter, like little bit of like twist there. That they must be tiny. Are they just sculpted in just
They're sculpted out of the main volume of clay. So
yeah,
I didn't
okay.
make them individually and push them in. I formed that from so I sculpted that reductively from a
Mm-hmm.
larger chunk of clay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna go up one really quickly because this is one of my favorite models of yours. I absolutely love this one. This is, I think, oh goodness, every time I am scrolling your Instagram and just looking for inspiration or hope or something, I will always, oh damn it, I'll always come back to this one. I think it's just the skull on top and the horns, the way they frame his face, the
Thanks, man.
movement,
Yeah.
the movement in it, like just the simple feathers, like adding the movement and just the silhouette. It's so thick. Oh
I love this mini.
yeah.
The horns were from the Zangor kit, if
Oh yeah.
you remember, and the
Fluent.
also
Yes.
the vents on the power pack are also Zangor heads.
They're beaks from
Um,
the Zangor, huh?
yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought that was so cool to think about a space wolf
Mm.
capturing enemy heads and then bringing them back and having them cast and then formed in
Yep.
metal to make exhaust ports. I thought that
Yes.
was pretty heavy metal.
That is heavy
But
metal.
that was a that that the horns in particular that go around the head was that's what set it off for me with this particular mini. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do some work on this guy because that's too
Mm.
cool. And Yeah, I did a lot of work on his legs to change the form of him. The skull is sculpted in clay, and then
Mm-hmm.
I had that cast in resin in multiples so I could use them across different models.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the feathers are made from scratch with Tamiya QuickType and wire.
Yes.
And I have tutorials on all this stuff.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Because this is what people
um,
like. I think is like, it's not plugging it. It's just good. Like, this is what people need to. It's, this stuff isn't the kind of thing that you're not just some freak of nature who woke up and could instantly do this. Like, you've worked on these skills, you've developed it, so it's
it
something that
takes
other people
time.
can. Yeah, man, for sure. And it's cool to have. I think especially with sculpting too. There's something really good. Like, you've got really really great tutorials. They're so well laid out, and it's really easy to be able to follow and step through it. So if you are intermediate with sculpting or you're starting and you want to do something like this,
Oh, absolute
that's the
beginner.
avenue.
Never if you've never touched putty before, start
Mm,
with understanding epoxy putty
yeah,
and go from there, and just go down the timeline essentially in Patreon, and
yeah,
you'll be in a good spot. I do want to mention that this guy's head, all the hair, is pure green stuff.
yeah,
That's not a mix. It's just green stuff. This was sort of earlier in my journey. That
yeah.
head is Haldor ice pelt.
Awesome.
If you're looking for that particular head, and a friend of mine at the time, he was like, "Hey, have you ever made a skullet, like a skull mullet?"
Yeah. Skull mullet. Yeah.
And I was like, Challenge accepted. Let's do
Yeah,
this.
we can make this sensual. This guy's fantastic. Again, like I'm gonna just quickly shamelessly plug it, but on Wednesday our video for the channel is we're dropping a big conversion video, and it's all about well, it's two-part video, both dropping on the same day. The first part is all about miniature design, and then the three facets that we're kind of unpacking is like the movement something has, the silhouette, and the story that it has, right? And I think this model is such a good one because its silhouette is immediately impactful, right? It's got fantastic movement, and its story, like the adornments, everything on it, you can just instantly see where it's from. So for me, this is such a hallmark of your style, where all three of those design elements always seem to just land for your models. Like, I love this dude.
Thanks, man.
He's so furious.
I was happy with him.
Mm,
He was really fun to build, and his pose being so open, it just gave me access around the entire model. It was really easy to build out. I've got a series of videos, basically building him step by step from
mm,
start to finish. If you're interested, um, but yeah, a lot of conversion work, mixing different kits. Yeah, the pelts here flowing around the arms are a great
hmm.
example of using a couple of different putty mixtures. It's like a 50-50 green stuff mix for the pelts themselves, laying them in
Hmm.
place and letting them set up, and then sculpting the fur over the top of them with more of a porous, softer putty on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, so here you're using like the rigidity, the strength, well not rigidity, but like I guess in a way, and the strength of green stuff in the mix for the form so that it can hold its own weight, hold itself easier, and then using so you're kind of getting the benefits of both doing a layered two-stage process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's clever. That's cool, man. Yeah, I think here's I don't know, for some reason, and I'm scared to do it because it'll probably cut the audio again. For some reason, my Window's being a bit of an idiot with how it's presenting. But just add that to the laundry list of technical issues that this stream has had, and the fact that we've had any viewers at all is actually a miracle on Elm Street. But there's actually been quite a few. So listen, thank you everybody, honestly, for being so persistent. 40 minutes of technical troubleshooting, and we had some
At
pretty
least.
solid people. So it's
Super
very
fun
very
though,
cool.
dude.
Yeah, man. Thank you, thank you. I actually do think we probably should look to wrap it up pretty soon, brother, just because it's getting a little late in the tooth, and yeah, your boy
Oh
has a
God, what
7
time is
a.m.
it for
shoot.
you?
It's nearly midnight, and
Oh my God, man. Yeah.
I know, and I'm so thankful for your time as well. But yeah, man, is there anything, any last things that you wanted to cover that we didn't talk about? We talked about a lot of stuff off camera, but was there anything we said we should talk about that I've forgotten about?
Um, I would suggest, or as just a piece of advice for anyone looking to start, is put on some soft music and just slow way down whenever you are even mixing your putty up, and start to just really look closely at things, and even the surfaces of your tools while you're introducing those into them, and I think that you'll get into it. It's just a mood, right? Like really
Mm,
slow down,
yeah.
get in the
I
mood.
Yeah, I think yeah, chuck a bit of Marvin Gaye on and just lean
Exactly.
into it. I get it, I get it. It's
Exactly.
you know what's interesting as you said that, I was like I should respect that more because the stages of the putty curing at the moment, because I'm always multitasking, I've always got like 7 projects going on. I will roll putty for one project, stick it on my lamp, and then scroll across on my desk to the other two, three, 4 projects and start doing them and then come back to it. Like, I don't ever just like sit in the moment and like think consciously of, um, you know, using that stage of the putty for a different purpose. So I think that's honestly, that's my takeaway from this stream, is I want to get better at doing that. I want to get better at using the putty at the stage that it's at, and not just like rushing around doing other stuff. Because I do think it's probably something that does hold me back with my sculpting, and maybe that's why Vaseline is such a core part of my rotation, man. I'm feeling attacked. I'm gonna have to. I'll stick to spit.
Try it. I mean, another thing is just pick one thing. instead of multitasking and doing 3 or 4 different things that you're working on at the same time, and this is going to vary with different people. Um, but if you just choose one task that you're going to like, okay, I'm just going to do this one thing, and slow
Mm.
down and really work through the process, you won't lose track of time and feel like you've missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
But really just slow down and work with just one particular thing,
Yeah.
instead of multitasking. There's a lot of, go, 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 and want to get something done to work on to the next thing.
Mm.
But yeah, just focusing on one particular thing that you're going to do in a session and just do it as the best that you can do.
Yep. No, I love it, man. Hey, there is one last question that is a really good one. I've actually got an answer for it as well, but I will obviously let the master talk about it. Skits in Twitch chat has said, how often do you mix too much putty, more than you actually need, and what do you do with the leftovers?
Yeah, so that happens every single time I mix putty. I don't. I mean, yeah, there are times if I'm making like a cape or something that's a larger item, really when you're mixing putty up, you're using parts off of it,
Mm.
and I wouldn't stress too much about trying to use every single little piece. Yeah, I know it's tempting and it may seem wasteful, but that can be another part of that process of trying to spread out. Oh, I need to use all this stuff. I need to get all this stuff on the mini or whatever. But just focus on one thing.
Mm.
I
You.
end up having little leftover chunks very often, and
Mm.
I let them cure and I throw them away. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I don't have some sort of
You know what? One
um,
thing I do that I love doing is because, and I will say, this might be an American privilege you've got, mate, but sometimes there's whole tracks of time where Australia just doesn't have a milliput delivery. And so
okay,
we get droughts, of milliput.
yeah,
So I have become very thrifty with mine. I always roll them into little balls and then flatten them out into a vague rock shape. And I have a whole
sure,
like systemic container of just these little odd little rocks that are just ready to be reductively sculpted with a blade and put onto bases. So for something like milliput, I that's what I do with it. Green stuff, listen, I've tried the freezing technique. Oh, it's
well,
not that.
it's just going to eventually cure it. Once the
Yeah,
chemical reaction started, you can't stop it. The
yeah,
freezing will slow it down,
sure.
but it's just gonna. But
Yeah.
one thing I can suggest is learn is start to mix up smaller amounts when you're doing
Mm,
it. Even just you can get to where you can mix up tiny little amounts when you're mixing it up. You don't need to do a great big batch of it, depending on what
mm,
you're doing. But yeah, that can be a part of the process of learning how to work with it in a smaller amount.
yep. No, that's awesome. All right, mate. Well, I reckon let's call it there. I'm not now. The reason I'm not on camera is because whatever I did before to get this
Oh my
up,
god!
it's taken my audio out. So when I switched before, and everyone's like, "There's no audio," I was like, "Okay, so we'll leave it." So if anything, guys, if you're just tuning in. This picture that's on screen is I sent Valbjorn a picture of me, and he sculpted a one-to-one of me. So that's actually what I look like. So thanks, dude. So it actually is me, in a way when I shave. But no, mate. Listen, thank you so much for coming on, dude. Like so much fun. Thank you, chat, for sticking through all the troubleshooting and
Yeah, thank you
genuinely
guys.
helping out. Mostly anyway. But just super fun, dude. Thank you so much. And so if people want to take this beyond beyond the stream, Valbjorn on Instagram for on the go sugar hit sculpting, but your Patreon is same name, Valbjorn, and that's the place to really jump in and get more insight on how to go further with this. Hey.
Yeah, and if you guys are on Instagram, hit me up, just send me a DM. Like
Mm,
I'm not shy. Uh,
mm,
so yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any. If you think of them later and want to hit me up, absolutely.
mm. Man, that's so kind of you. Thank you very much, dude. All right, crew. Well, yeah, we're gonna see you in the next one. In a couple of weeks, we're gonna be joined by potentially one of Australia's greatest upcoming painters. who has been in the chat, flirting away, flirting away. Young Alexi potentially will be joining us on the stream, which I'm super excited about. And
I'll be watching that for sure.
yeah, you can be in his chair, just throwing shade at him and asking him obscure questions about the differences in sanding resin and milliput. Like, just go for it, dude.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, do it, do it, do it. But otherwise, folks, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
No worries. Thank you, brother. How good. Man, imagine spending 45 minutes on troubleshooting. That is so funny, isn't it? Idiots, dude. That is the best thing I think I've ever done. All right. I'm going to do this.
I think I stopped my stream.
Oh, dude. Honestly, last time in the stream, I just kept accidentally streaming for like 20 minutes. I didn't know how to actually turn it off, so I probably am still doing it right this second. And I'm just going to quickly go from there. You know what I will do, mate? I'm going to do this. I'm going to can this, and I'm going to call you back.
Okay. Actually, call me on Discord.
Done. Chat soon.
Yeah.